Hello, Merry Christmas to you. It's Christmas Eve with Sam Matterface and Scott Minto. $1 Million Minto is here looking $1 million, and we'll get to him in just a second. First of all, let's get the latest news and sport.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Thank you, Sam. Good morning. A third narrow win in a row for Arsenal, this time via penalties thanks to the heroics of Kepa. But do they have enough goals to keep on staving off the challengers?
Lost to Villa 2-1. Just about beat Wolves, own goal to win the game. Just about beat Everton, missed a load of chances again. Everton should have had a penalty, it could have been an equaliser. Arsenal need to start scoring more goals because you're not going to keep getting away with this, are you, Ali?
I agree with you.
Former midfielder Adrian Clark says Arsenal do need to improve their ruthlessness but deserve massive credit for what they're doing.
For a large part of this season, Arsenal have had like one striker available and it's not your main man. At the moment, they're down to the bare bones with defenders as well. So I think all things considered, it has been very, very good.
Well, City have scored 10 more goals in the league this season and look like they're adding a few more to their ranks, with Antoine Semeno looking likely to join.
Yeah, it's going to be a big signing, I think, for City for the second half of the season.
I thought Manchester United's history would get it over the line, Crookie.
Are you trying to wind me up, Jeff?
I think he is, Crookie. I'm going to do this a Christmas Eve wind-up, mate.
Speaking of wind-up, somehow it's getting even worse for England's cricketers in Australia. Jofra Archer's out for the last two tests with a side strain, and Ben Stokes has had to fling to Ben Duckett's defence thanks to a drunken video of the opener being released. As the ECB investigates reports of a 6-day player's bender after the second test, Monty Panesar says he doesn't see an issue.
What else are you going to do? You know, be in your room, play Monopoly, Connect 4 or Sudoku. You know, you need to go out there, have a few drinks, but also it helps you to clear your mind. They have plenty of time to get over their hangovers as well.
Their performance would suggest otherwise. There's more on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Further questions about the involvement of former Prince Andrew with Jeffrey Epstein as another batch of files are released in the US, and the Prime Minister's urging us to reach out to friends and neighbours this Christmas. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Rain or shine, our mobile tyre fitting service comes to you so you can stay on the sofa this winter. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Christmas Eve looking largely dry. Much of the UK will see spells of winter sunshine this afternoon. Some cloud in the south and east of England and windy across the far south.
Hello, very good morning to you. You're listening to Sam Matterface and Scott Minto, and we're live this Christmas Eve on talkSPORT. So, Arsenal beat Crystal Palace on penalties, but should Gunners fans have any concerns over their lack of goals from open play right now? And a Palace showing that they're struggling with the amount of games that they've been played this season. They've played more than anybody else in the Premier League this campaign. Meanwhile, Antoine Semeno has a preference, and it's to join Manchester City. Would that be the correct decision from the options that he reportedly has? And would that suggest something strange about Chelsea's transfer strategy after yesterday's news? Plus, Thomas Frank defends Mickey van der Ven. Sean Dyche says common sense should prevail over Christmas. And should the battle of the sexes have remained in 1973? This is Sam Matterface and Scott Minto on Christmas Eve, and we're live on talkSPORT. Very good Christmas Eve to you. Happy Christmas to everybody. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you very much for joining us and lending us your ears on this wonderful Christmas Eve. Nice to see you, Scotty.
Good morning, mate. I'm worried for you.
Why are you worried?
You've been ill the last few days.
I
was going to bring in Lemsip, and then I completely forgot. That was my Christmas present.
Cheers, mate.
You feeling all right?
I'm feeling okay.
3 hours in makeup.
Hey, listen, I'll get
good.
I'll get through it, yeah. Luckily, they had that spray that they put all over your face to make you look like you're healthy when you're not. We're going to have a bit of Christmas fun today because, this is a serious programme. We know that. We know that we obviously do all the big debates, but we've got to have some Christmas fun as well. Absolutely. Because Christmas Eve is a time for cheer.
Well, I celebrate Christmas Eve in the house as well as Christmas Day, having a Colombian wife. So
why is that? The Colombians treat Christmas Eve as their Christmas Day?
So they have a big meal Christmas Eve night and they open the presents at midnight.
Wow.
So then Santa comes in the morning and he leaves a few more. So
you double dip at Christmas?
Kind of, yeah.
Sounds good.
It's win-win, isn't it? Although the only thing is for the kids, I've got to go home and do roast potatoes. So
crispy on the outside, fluffy in the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. A bit like this show, crispy on the outside, fluffy in the middle. Listen, we're going to ask you for a little bit of help this morning. So whatever you're doing today, if you're wrapping presents and you want to get involved, if you're preparing the veg for tomorrow, or you're going out, dashing around, getting the last few bits and pieces that you need for the big day, then make sure you take us with you on the talkSPORT app. You can watch us, by the way, on the connected TVs or the YouTube, or if you want to download the talkSPORT app for your television, you can do that. I want to ask you a question. If your club's season was a Christmas song, I love Christmas songs. Do you like Christmas songs?
Love Christmas songs.
Love Christmas songs.
Yeah.
If your club season was a Christmas song, what would it be? Forget Wham, forget Mariah Carey. If your club was singing a Christmas song right now, would it be Stay Another Day, if you're a Crystal Palace fan, begging Oliver Glasner to stick around? Maybe you're a West Ham fan. Do they know it's Christmas? They certainly need a Band-Aid. 03717 2233 WhatsApp us or text us 81089. If your club season was a Christmas song, which one would it be? And who is your sporting Grinch of 2025? The player, the athlete, the manager, the referee who stole the joy out of your sport this year. Maybe it's those who came up with PSR. It means your club have to count every penny. Maybe it's the referee who gave a controversial penalty against your team. Maybe it's Lionel Messi for having that goat tour that was over in 10 minutes. 03717 2233 on the WhatsApp. You can text us 81089.
It's not that I've watched a lot. There's not a lot to watch, but it has to be the cricket, doesn't it? I mean, at a time where Australia are almost at their weakness, we're supposedly our strongest, and we've just sort of thrown. And
Bazball is the great.
Do you know what? I don't have a problem with them going out and having a few days and just trying to get away from it, because I think mentally you need that. I don't think they should have gone as over the top, perhaps, as allegedly they have, but you do need to get away from things, win or lose, and just sort of forget about it. So, as Monty Panesar was saying, they expected a sort of monopoly and Connect Four, though I loved Connect Four as a kid myself. But
it's a game of strategy. That's so cerebral, Scott.
But my goodness me, come on, we were expecting more than that. So mine's actually not football; it's the cricket.
Okay, 03717 2233 your Christmas sporting Grinches. Sporting Grinches of 2025, and if your club's season was a Christmas song, what would it be? Want to hear from you. Arsenal feeling, I think, pretty pleased with themselves after getting through last night, although there were one or two Grinches suggesting that they were a little bit lucky to advance against Crystal Palace on penalties last night in the semi-final. Kepa Arrizabalaga was the hero. He saved the decisive penalty from Maxence Lecroix.
Who was that?
Maxence Lecroix.
And
Kepa Arrizabalaga. Is that okay? I know you're into your Spanish.
That was very good.
Yeah, okay, fine. Arsenal, I thought, were the better side over 90 minutes, but ultimately drew the game. They have been struggling to put teams to the sword of late, and I know that the boys, over the course of the morning, Ali and Gabby Agbonlahor and even Adrian Clark were talking about that in quite some detail. I'm not concerned about that, but I wonder if the fans are. Mikel Arteta certainly is not.
Well, that's what we want. I think what we have to do is continue to generate the chances that we do and conceding nothing. I don't think we conceded only one shot again. So, and do that and trust the players. I mean, they show great composure and quality on the penalty shootout. We have some very big open chances today to score goals, and we didn't. So trust them, keep training, and try to keep improving.
Do you know what's really interesting? We've become obsessed with Aston Villa overperforming on the data. Their XG is a lot lower than the goals that they are returning. Their efforts from outside the box keep winning them games. Arsenal created 25 shots last night, 7 on target, a great XG. They are not the top scorers in the league, but they have got the best defence in the league by a mile. They're getting Gyökeres up to speed. Jesus is back and looking sharp, although he did miss one good chance last night. Havertz is back. Martinelli, Saka, Eze all chip in with goals. Rice does as well. They create from set pieces. I think they're going to be absolutely okay. Have you got any concerns about this?
No, I mean, the only concern I've got is Man City coming up from behind them, where I've said this before, I think the Manchester City side is the greatest side English football's ever seen. Obviously, that's very, very subjective. Under Pep Guardiola, no one's ever done 4 top-flight titles on the spin, not even Sir Alex Ferguson or Bob Paisley. The empire has fallen. The emperor's still there. He's building a new empire, but is it as strong as it used to be? Well, actually, I went big on the Club World Cup when they beat Juventus, and I thought, wow, they're back. And then suddenly, in the very next game, Al Hilal, they go and lose. They've looked at times at the early part of the season as if they still haven't sorted out that conceding goals in the transition. Well, it looks like they're sorting that out. So Arsenal need to be at their very best. But I think anyone who expects Arsenal to be, or any team to be, playing brilliant 8 out of 10 week in, week out in the Premier League without realising the physicality, the brutality of it all, on top of the Champions League. Look, they're top of the Premier League. They're top of the Champions League table. They're the only team with 6 wins out of 6 above Real Madrid, PSG, Manchester City, everybody else.
They're in the last 4 of the Carabao Cup.
They're in the last 4 of the Carabao Cup. I don't see what more they can be doing right now, but it's not about here and now. Sir Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, whoever has always been saying it's about putting yourself in a position when squeaky bum time comes along. I just feel how they've learned over the last few years, the hurt that they've had, the experience they've got, and now they have got the best and deepest squad in the Premier League. I said at the start of the season, when a lot of people were saying Liverpool, I fancy Arsenal. I'm not going to change my mind, but Manchester City, that's the only thing. They shouldn't be scared about themselves. They should be worried that Manchester City will go on a winning run, so therefore they have to. But the way they're playing at the moment, I don't have a problem with it because they're still creating the chances. They're just not putting them away, but they're still winning games.
It's not the tactics, right? So I don't know what else Mikel Arteta can do because his side have scored no goals from 6.16 XG in the last 3 games, excluding penalties, obviously. Is there a fatigue, chemistry or pressure issue? I say they've scored no goals. Obviously, last night, Lacroix scored 1 for them. That's the point there. But none of their players have scored it from a non-penalty goal in the last 2 games, and they've had an XG of 6.116. There is a slight issue. So what is it?
I think it's that. It's that you can't be brilliant all the time. We've been saying for a few... Injuries, for sure. The injury's been a problem. People talk about they haven't scored. You mentioned that, and obviously with what happened with Wolves and then last night as well, and I was at the game for talkSPORT. It doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter who scores. Even if it's an opposition member. The ball was in the right place. The chaos was caused because of that and the numbers that were there. So people turn around and say, well, Arsenal were lucky. No, they weren't lucky because they put the pressure on that team to do what that team then did, both against Wolves and against Crystal Palace as well. You can turn around and say it's a bit of a lottery with the penalties, and certainly Arsenal, that first
It didn't look like a lottery. Well, everyone was scoring them.
It seemed to me, and I said, as the pressure rises, so does the quality of the pens.
I thought the pens were absolutely terrific.
They were. One. Yeah, they were. They were superb, and one of the keepers just needed to dive the right way, and then he probably would have saved it. But my point is that Arsenal are applying the pressure on teams that, yes, in an ideal world, Gyökeres would have been that one and he'd be on 10, 15 goals already, just a couple behind Erling Haaland. But there is a big step up from the Portuguese league to the Premier League. And it actually doesn't matter who scores. It's almost a question of, my worry for Manchester City is, what happens if Erling Haaland gets injured? Whereas almost anybody can get injured for Arsenal. Maybe Declan Rice is probably the most important player, and yet he didn't play until the last few minutes last night. So they have a brilliant squad where they're not relying on one person, and Manchester City are.
And arguably, this has been their most difficult period of the season so far, right? But yet they've still been winning games. They're still top of the table. They're still top of the Champions League and still through to the Carabao Cup semi-finals. And the producer said to me this morning, Palace were unlucky. Were they? They could have been blown away by half-time and actually probably should have been. I actually thought it was a poor selection by Glasner to put JD Canvo down in the right fullback position, right wing-back position. And as soon as he realised that there was an issue with Martinelli, he needed to shore that up a lot quicker. They were very fortunate, actually, not to be further away at half-time. They did score from their only shot on target. It's now 4 games without a win for them. And like Arsenal, but even on a greater scale, maybe the number of games is catching up with them a little bit. And they don't have the squad and the luxuries that Arsenal certainly do. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what Palace fans think this morning. 03717 22 33 44. You're listening to Matterface and Minto on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. Arsenal fans, are you concerned by recent performances, or are you still on for a trophy-winning campaign? 03717 22 33 44. Are all these Christmas Grinches saying that these goals have dried up, missing the fact that actually you're allowed to have a little bit of a wobble? You're still scoring goals because you've got great delivery from all sorts of different areas of the pitch. 03717 22 33 44. morning to you. Happy Christmas wherever you are, whatever you're doing. If you're wrapping presents, I hate wrapping presents, but if you're doing that, then good luck to you. It's one of the worst jobs in the world ever.
I heard you say that with Simon yesterday.
I honestly hate it. I am rubbish at it. You should never get me to do it. Like, it's annoying. If your club's season was a Christmas song, Dave says Mariah Carey is the Manchester City of Christmas. Glossy, expensive, and dominates every December. Just like City, I'm sick of hearing about her by the 27th. Get her relegated to the bargain bin. Morning, guys. Liverpool fan here. Dean, my Christmas Grinch is Alexander Isak. Christmas song for my club, Birmingham City, will be driving home for Christmas as we can't win away, says Gaz the Blue Nose in Devon. Merry Christmas. Or Albie the Iron says, last Christmas is the ultimate Spurs song. High hopes in the first verse, gave your heart away, and by the end of the year you'll be giving it to someone special because your first lot bottled it. Absolute scenes. 03717 223344, your Christmas Grinches, please. And if your club's season was a Christmas song, we'd love to hear from you. Arsenal fans, are you concerned by the current form and performances? One or two of our pundits have suggested that maybe Arsenal are going to struggle if they don't start putting their chances away. Me and Scott are not concerned by this, by the way. We've had enough of these Christmas Grinches. I think the way that they are playing, the chances that they created in the first half last night, shows that they can achieve big things. What are you saying, Carl? You're through to talkSPORT.
Hello, mate. First of all, Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas, Carl.
And firstly, my Grinch has definitely got to be VAR.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, no, I'm not concerned about us not scoring. Do you know what I mean? Look at back in the day, Man United. Do you know what I mean? They still managed to go and win things, not playing great. So I'm not too concerned about that. It'd be nice to start getting them in, but we're all round goal scorers. That's a good thing about the Arsenal. We're not relying on one person.
Do you think that sets you apart as well? The fact that you've got weapons from all parts of the pitch. Even like Timber chips in with goals, Calafiori chips in with goals, set pieces from Gabriel. Obviously, when he's back fit, he's a massive weapon for you, and I think you've noticed offensively that he hasn't been around.
Yeah, definitely. Due to the set pieces as well, corners, always big Gabs jumps in with the head. It is a bit concerning, but you're not being funny. We've had, 5, 6 different defenders, and we're still playing well. Do you know what I mean?
Carl, I'm with you. The fact that the goals are being shared around, I think, is really, really important. But obviously, in an ideal world, you'd also like your centre forward, your main one, especially if you spent a lot of money on it, to be scoring goals for fun. Where do you see Gyökeres and his involvement in the Arsenal team right now? If there was a Champions League final or a game to win the Premier League, does he play?
See, this is the thing. So I've wanted Gyökeres at Arsenal for a long time. I rate him highly, but the Premier League to the Portuguese League is slightly different. We just got to feed him more. And he will get there. I just love his play off the ball as well. He creates space for our wingers. He creates space for the Saka. He creates space for Martinelli. He does do a lot off the ball. But I would like to see him score more. But I reckon it's coming. It will come. It will come.
Good luck to you. Thank you very much for calling. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your festive period. Gary's on now. Hello, Gary.
Morning, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. What do you want to say about the Arsenal?
I'm really happy with where we are at the moment. Obviously, you can't get much better in a sense of top of the league in both of the competitions. Semi-final of Carabao Cup and FA Cup coming. I did kind of say to a researcher that last year Liverpool won the league. They was bad, really. The first half of the season was they was just getting games won. It wasn't attractive. Like they was just getting over the line, late goals, and they won the league off it. I'm happy with how we're playing. We're sharing the goals around, which I think is important. I'd like Gyökeres to obviously get a few more goals. I think he plays brilliantly up there as a target. Brings other people into the game. I'm just really happy. And we had some good players injured, and we're still where we need to be. So.
Gary, I agree with you and with Carl, by the way, about Gyökeres. I think he adds something different, even if he's not quite scoring the goals, and hopefully for Arsenal that will come.
Looks a bit cumbersome, though, doesn't it, at the moment?
It does take a little bit of time.
He's a big target man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Heskey was cumbersome, wasn't he? But... he's a different type of player, isn't he? Jesus is quick and nippy, and Gyökeres is big and strong, and that's top.
And that variation may well hold you in good stead going forward in the season.
He's the one 100%. Player that is wanting to run the channels and going behind. Havertz, Marino, and Jesus don't really want to do that. Even Jesus wants to sort of come to feet and play that technical game. My only worry for for Arsenal is, because I'm still going to stick with them, is that last season City were a million miles away, but this does look a different City right now, doesn't it?
It does look different, yeah, definitely so. They are seeming to, well, Pep knows what to do at the business end of the season, and they definitely seem to be gaining a head of steam at the moment. It is a worry. He was a few more points clear, but we know how it goes. We had you have a good weekend. We can win and everyone else loses, and that can put the distance between us. Losing to Villa the other day, if we drew, we'd have been 6 points clear of Villa. We're 3 points clear of Villa. We've got to play Villa soon, and we've got to play City again. So as much as it can turn one way, it can turn back the other way. Getting a good result against your main rivals, which we have pretty much done most of the season. I think we'd be okay. It's obviously it's not going to be easy because. Well, it shouldn't be, should it?
Well, no, and it never is it, when you're trying to win the Premier League? At Manchester City game against Arsenal is a little bit later on in the season, but you have got two absolutely huge games upcoming live on talkSPORT. On the 30th of December, Aston Villa are the opponents at the Emirates Stadium. That's a massive game. And also, huge match against Liverpool, which is upcoming in the first week in January. Also live on talkSPORT. It's on a Thursday night. 03717 2233 44 Arsenal fans. I think one of the other reasons we haven't mentioned this yet, why I think they'll be okay, is because they don't. The Arsenal tradition is 1-0 to the Arsenal. I heard it last night when I was in the stadium. They were singing it. 1-0 to the Arsenal. They don't concede goals. That idea of having defensive solidity is absolutely crucial to the game plan. If you look back over the course of the years, the best defence in the Premier League, largely, not every year, but largely, wins the title.
Yes, and I was there as well, and I heard those shouts, although, of course, they didn't win it 1-0, and it did go to penalties, and they had to rely on the penalties. You're absolutely right. But what I do think is really important, where you've touched on there, is the mentality of the fans. So I think fans realise how important part they play and how much pressure they can put on the players. They're quite happy with 1-0, whereas maybe a City, crowd or another crowd might be wanting more goals. So I think from the fans' point of view, they won't be putting the pressure on the players in that way.
03717 2233 44. We want to hear from you this morning. Morning, Sam and Scott. Enjoying the show from Ballymena in Northern Ireland. My Christmas Grinch is half and half scarves, especially on the show at big derby matches. Get them in the bin. Merry Christmas to you all and all the talkSPORT listeners.
I can't say that. I've got Charlton Chelsea coming up.
What, you have half scarf? No, you don't.
There might be one.
No. Mark Jackson says, Silent Night is my Christmas song. Leaving Old Trafford after every home game after watching Manchester United this season. That's from Mark in Manchester. Arsenal's Christmas song would be I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day by Wizard, because we're always top at Christmas. That's from Dan in St Albans. Keep them coming. 03717 223344 on the WhatsApp. You can text us 81089. It's Christmas.
It was Kepa to the rescue for the Gunners as the former Chelsea stopper saved Lacroix's penalty to clinch a semi-final tie against his old club and disrupt Palace's run of Cup silverware. However, after narrow wins over Wolves and Everton and that defeat to Villa, Gabby's questioning whether Arsenal have the required ruthlessness to stay ahead of City.
Even in the Premier League, Manchester City scored 10 more goals than Arsenal. They need to be a bit more prolific, don't they? Gabriel Jesus, I know it's his first start, but I thought last night again reminds me of his time at Arsenal. It's not really clinical, is he?
The counter-argument came from Ali McCoist.
We're top of the league. We've lost 2 games, I think it is. One of them was to a ridiculous free kick from Szoboszlai, flew into the top corner, and the other one was to a 95th minute goal at Villa Park. So you could look at it that way. You've only lost 2 games.
Elsewhere, it goes from terrible to even worse for Ben Stokes' booze ballers, who've now lost Jofra Archer for the rest of the Ashes with a side strain. Jacob Bethel, meanwhile, has been picked at the expense of Ollie Pope at number 3, and Captain Stokes has thrown his full support to Ben Duckett after a video widely shared on social media appears to show the opener drunk during a trip to beach resort Noosa after the second Ashes test.
It's never a nice place to be in when the media world, but also the social media world, is just piling on top of you. So I will always try my best job to do that, to look after every single person in this group, from players to management, support staff, whatever it may be.
There was a bit of a video doing the rounds of me and Crook in a pub around the corner from here, dancing and singing to this on the 10 till 1 Christmas afternoon out.
Is that right?
Yes. We got a little bit excited. And we actually hadn't had a drink or anything like that at this moment. Obviously, there was a lot after that, but we just got really excited. We were happy.
Was it this song? What was the one where I filmed you two?
Oh, that was a different one.
Is that a different song? And
yeah.
You hadn't had too many drinks by then either.
Well, it's just, I don't know, might have done. Emma Coleman has just told us that she's under a little bit of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure, because she is cooking Christmas dinner for a load of people tomorrow. And she's a bit worried about it.
Very nervous.
We've told her just to open up the champagne and just not worry about it at all. Just go with it and see what happens.
And just order a fast food delivery service.
If your club season was a Christmas song, Toffee Tom says, Fairy Tale of New York is definitely Everton's. It's gritty, full of swearing. It's seen better days, and by the end of it, everyone's crying in the corner. Stick it on the jukebox. Sporting Grinch, Barmy Barry. The biggest Grinch is the entire England top order. I stayed up until 4 a.m. to watch the Ashes, and they were back in the pavilion before my kettle had even boiled. They've ruined my Christmas, my sleep schedule, my blood pressure. I hope Santa brings them all a defensive coaching manual. Bob, the Grinch is Howard Webb. I don't care what the question is. The answer is Howard Webb. He's probably at home right now looking at his Christmas dinner through a monitor and deciding whether or not there was a foul in the build-up to the gravy. It's ruined the year. Morning, gents. Great show. Christmas Grinch is Delphan Chancerai, and the mess is left behind at Sheffield Wednesday. That's Jim in Sheffield. Ronnie says, morning, guys. Merry Christmas to you all. My Christmas tune that sums up my team Rangers is also my favourite Christmas song. München Freiheit, Keeping the Dream Alive. Come on, Danny Roll, sign a defender or two, and let's do this. All the best for 2026. Stuart Bremner says, morning, lads. For any Rangers fan, we've had 3 Grinches that have stolen the season for us. Messrs Thelwell, Stewart and Martin. I hope Santa empties his sack in their houses and the coal is the gift. The 3 Muppets. Oh, that's a bit harsh. Well, actually,
Glad he said coal.
Merry Christmas, talkSPORT. Thanks for the show, as always. Stuart, Merry Christmas to you. I hope it gets better for Rangers. Antoine Semeno apparently wants to join Manchester City. That's his preference. He had options, and those options including Manchester United, Liverpool at one stage as well, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Nothing formal has currently been agreed, with the January transfer window still not open for another week, but the Bournemouth winger has a release clause in his contract of around £60 million that has to be triggered by January the 10th. It was reported on Tuesday that Chelsea had decided against pursuing a move for Semeno after making an initial inquiry. Also, didn't they brief at some stage yesterday that they weren't initially interested, but then once the opportunity came up, they respected the player enough to make an inquiry, as all the top 6 teams did. How pivotal would this signing be for Manchester City?
Yeah, I think City out of the ones that, I mean, Arsenal, I've heard, would be interested, but not till next season. So if Semeno wants to go now and get that deal done, then City's the kind of obvious one. Look, first of all, let's talk about him as a player. And I was there at the weekend, and he's a player. He's a little bit more than a player of moments, but to be doing what he's doing for Bournemouth, with all due respect to them, he's quick, he's strong, he's two-footed. I can speak from a fullback's point of view. When you know a winger's going to go one particular way and has a favourite way, then you can defend against that. Whereas he's quite happy to go down the outside, and he's decent on his left foot as well. I've heard he's a really good lad in the dressing room. He wants to watch his clips back, so he's always wanting to improve. He's just a fantastic professional, and I think he's going to be 26 in a week or two. The age is absolutely perfect for him, which is probably why Chelsea aren't really interested in him anymore. He's far too old. Well, but I listen. I think for City, the question is how is he going to impact immediately? Because we know Pep Guardiola wants his positional play and his players. We've seen players like maybe a Jack Grealish, though he could argue in that treble season he was very, very good, but it hasn't really worked for him in the way that he wanted it to. Calvin Phillips, to name just a couple. It's very positional. It's very tactical about where you need to be. Thierry Henry even said that Pep took him off at Barcelona a couple of times because he didn't do what Pep was wanting him to do. So to come in at this particular time where first of all, you're the star, you're just another cog in the wheel, and you've got to learn this positional sense is not going to be easy, I have to say. And when Jeremy Doku's fit, he's a player I really like. So
he is, but there's a massive difference between the two players, and that is that Jeremy Doku, for all of his great trickery and his creativity, sometimes his end product isn't perfect and he doesn't score enough goals. And I think Pep's biggest issue here is that he's got a lot of good wide players that create problems for opponents but don't score enough goals. The goals really come from Erling Haaland. Foden's been chipping in, Cherky has chipped in one or two, Reinders from midfield even came up with one the other day. But most of their goals come from the central of the penalty area, and Erling Haaland is the main source. He wants a bit more variation in where those goals come from. And Semeno, 8 goals already for Bournemouth this season, 2 in his last 2 games for Andoni Iraola's team. He provides that.
Yeah, you mentioned about the 2 in the last 2 games. His form has dropped off, though. I mean, I was there at the weekend for talkSPORT, and he again, if you don't play particularly well, then be a player of moments, and he's certainly capable of that. Ruud Gullit used to say back in the day at Chelsea, I want you to do 2 things that can affect the game, be a player of moments, and he's certainly capable of doing that. Sam, it's a big, big jump. It's a big jump from Bournemouth, and we've seen it already with Bournemouth players who perhaps...
Howson going to Real Madrid? Kirkes going to Liverpool? Do you think that he can handle it mentally?
I think he's at the age where he's ready, but you never know until you're actually there. But what I would say is if you trust yourself and you trust you want to try and fulfill your potential, and you've got a Manchester City and a Pep Guardiola coming in for you, you can't say no. You have to give it a go and see what happens.
He's got options, right? So it's not like Pep is the only person who is after him. Manchester United are after him.
Still, Man City the only option.
Out of Manchester City and Manchester United, you don't think that maybe it might be easier for him to go and slip into Ruben Amorim's system?
It might be easier. No, I mean, in terms of the system, and we've had this conversation off air, he's a wide player, forward player. So in terms of Ruben Amorim's system, it doesn't really work. Now, we're hearing he sees him maybe as a left wing back, and I know he's played minutes there for Bristol City, but at the same time, one thing playing left wing back for Bristol City, another thing for Manchester United. So from a defensive point of view, if you're playing in a deep end of Premier League and Champions League, which is where United want to be, and you've got a winger up against you, a one-on-one situation where you're defending, can he deal with that? He's certainly very good going forward, but I'm sorry, even if the systems were the same, Man City versus Man U right now, Man United is the biggest club in the country, but you go Man City.
Do you know what's really interesting is that you said, the way he deals with the Pep Guardiola instructions, the system, how he's going to deal with the tactical responsibilities that are going to be placed on his shoulder, it's going to take time for him to understand. Andoni Iraola is a tactical manager that it demands a lot from you. You know, Ruben Amorim is going to demand a lot from you. Every single manager at the top end of the Premier League now that are after Antoine Semeno or currently coaching him is going to be tactically demanding. That's just part of it, isn't it? If you're a top-level Premier League footballer.
No, 100%, and you've got to be used to that. But again, it's one thing to be the main man, and he can go through games. I'm not saying he is in any way, but he can go through games of not doing too much and then suddenly pick up the ball and the crowd are on their feet. You can't do that with Pep Guardiola. You can't even do that at Manchester United because the pressure will be on. He'll know that. I can't begin to explain the jump, again, with the greatest respect. I know they're playing Premier League football, but the pressure from being a Bournemouth player in front of 11,000 to being a Manchester United or a Manchester City player where suddenly everybody across the world is watching you as well. And we've seen players go to United and even to City and just fall by the wayside who are incredibly talented. I think he's got the mentality to do it, but the bottom line is we still don't know. But if I'm him, you have to go Man City.
Well, apparently Chelsea was on the table as well yesterday. Well, at 1:03 yesterday, we were told that Chelsea was on the table. They've always downplayed an interest in Antoine Semeno, but talkSPORT understood that yesterday, that after the last few days, they'd considered an approach for him. And then they did make an initial inquiry to his representatives. But by, I think it was, let me just scroll down here, 6:25 last night, that was over. Because they decided that actually they've got belief in the current attackers that they've got and they plan to reward those who are currently in the team. That basically means he said no.
Yeah. Well, it probably means that he said a bit like Mike Maignan in the summer as well, where just interested and then, no, we want an extra 5-10 million, Milan. And then Chelsea turn around and say, actually, no, Robert Sanchez has always been good enough. This obviously is different because the clause is there, the 60 plus 5 million. So Chelsea can afford that for sure, but it's his wages. You know, Manchester City, Manchester United, whoever else, even Spurs are interested in him. They'll be offering more in a weekly wage in the way that Chelsea have got players to sign. They've spent a lot of money, but they've just had long contracts. The contract itself is worth a heck of a lot of money, but the weekly wage is very sensible from an accountancy point of view, but you're not going to get the top end experience.
But it was interesting that they started.
That I've been crying out for.
The rumours started coming out yesterday that they were interested in him, right? Okay, and it's come 10 days after the grenade that Maresca launched in about needing experienced players. He wants experienced players. I mean, he's not going to get them, is he? I mean, or is he? Are they going to change tack with him now?
No, they're not. And I think this is probably an example because Antoine Semeno, you know, he'll only be 20. He's 25 right now. So again, it's about the wages. It's about a wage structure. They want to keep it a certain way. What do they want? What do they want? What do the owners at Chelsea want? Do they want trophies or do they want just to keep this model?
Well, that might be the key question because we're going to hear from Enzo Maresca in the next few minutes because he has been talking today, by the way, ahead of ahead of the game against Aston Villa about the speculation linking him with Antoine Semeno. Just on the sort of discussion about Manchester United, there was a little bit of chat yesterday that it was nothing to do with the fact that they wanted him to play wing back. In fact, they don't, because there is some suggestion that they might be altering their formation in the not too distant future, which was one to keep an eye on. I was at the Bournemouth game the other night where they swung round into a 4 at times. Not always. They definitely built up in a 3, but then were sort of, swinging around into a 4. Interesting.
Ruben Amorim has always said it's not just your rigid 3-4-2-1, but
just thought it was interesting that wasn't.
Who came out and said that? Was it Amorim himself?
I can't tell you that. Don't want to give it all away. I can't give you all the secrets.
You'd have to kill me if you told me.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that at Christmas.
Please don't.
03717223344. It'll be interesting to hear from Chelsea fans on the text about what they want from the January transfer window, and especially after you hear from Enzo Maresca in the next section of the programme. It does look like Semeno is off to Manchester City. Is it the right club for him to join? And with Chelsea missing out, what does it suggest about their transfer strategy? 03717223344. You're listening to Matterface and Minto on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT already looking ahead to an exciting year in 2026. We're giving you the chance to win a massive £26,000. It's 26k for 2026. And here's how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or you can call 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 12 p.m. on Friday the 9th of January 2026. And that's when you'll need to answer the phone if it rings. UK residents only, 18 plus. It's a network promotion and all the details, terms and conditions are available at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text 83338 with the word win at the front of the message right now, and good luck to you. Right, we had loads of text messages here. Rav says Semeno won't work at Manchester City as he plays in a transitional team, and City aren't that. He would be better at United.
Good point.
Morning, lads, says John Webster. Semeno should wait until the summer and weigh up his options. Going City doesn't benefit him moving in January, does it? If I was Semeno's agent, I would be advising him to wait until the summer, stay at Bournemouth, score and assist goals, and keep up the momentum. My football Christmas song would be Elton John's Step Into Christmas, as our Grinch moment is not being able to step into any away ground and get a win. That's from Jamie, the Watford fan. And morning, Sam and Scott. Merry Christmas to you and everybody at talkSPORT. Wolves fan here. The Grinch is the Wolves owner. And for the Christmas song, whatever the most depressing one is, bar humbug, let's hope for a better 2026. Kind regards from James. Keep them coming. You can WhatsApp us 0371 7223344. Enzo Maresca has been speaking this morning ahead of the game against Aston Villa on the 27th. He was asked about recent speculation linking Chelsea with a move for the Bournemouth winger Antoine Semeno.
I'm focused about Aston Villa. I'm not focused on players that they can arrive, players that they can leave. The only focus for me in this moment is Aston Villa game, that for sure will be a tough game because they are doing fantastic and we need to be focused on that.
Interesting from Enzo Maresca's pretty non-committal there last week in the build-up to the Newcastle game. The Chelsea boss admitted he wanted to sign older players with the January transfer window around the corner. Interesting, isn't it, that he started to come and vocalise this? This is something that we've been talking about for a very long time, but have been accepting it isn't going to happen. Why has he started to talk about it right now?
I think he realises, I think when he first came in, he realised he was lucky to get the job. And, you know, you can certainly argue he's still lucky to have the job. But I think he's proved himself to be a very talented manager. He's not without errors, not without mistakes. People can argue, and you're one of them as well. And I do get it about the rotation. It's too much. He's clearly going towards getting everybody perfectly right towards the end of the season. What he did in his first season, I thought was... People talk about the money being spent, but again, you're talking about the youngest average starting 11, not just last season in the Premier League, but in the history of the Premier League. He's dealing with basic kids and young, mainly foreign talent. He's young himself in terms of the experience of being a manager. He's only in his third full season, but I've seen enough where he dealt with, when he first came in, 40-odd players. By the end of the season, he won 2 major trophies. Yes, they should have won the Conference League. Whatever you say about the Club World Cup, I was a part of that with talkSPORT. Let me tell you, all those teams who were there wanted to win it, 100%. PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, just to name a few. Inter Milan and Chelsea did it. To finish 4th, I thought was very good indeed. And he wants to... I think he's probably just thinks, I'm just 1 or 2 players away now from winning trophies. And managers, head coaches should want to win. That's what they want. I've heard Simon Jordan talk, and I understand where he's coming from. And from an owner's point of view, they're the boss. You don't argue with the boss. You can sort of fight behind the scenes and say, look, I want this, we're that close.
Because he knew what he was stepping into.
Yeah, he knew what he was stepping into. Maybe because he's done so well in his first season and he realises how close he is to perhaps doing so well. He's maybe got a bit above his station, and he needs to realise the pecking order, because there's only one winner there, and it's not the head coach. It's always going to be the owners. And that's why I think he's stepped back and he's not been non-committal since. And I think he's absolutely right. He threw it out there. You know, the owners probably didn't like what happened, and maybe had a word with him behind the scenes, and he doesn't want to go there again. But Sam, they're so close. They're so close to really challenging, in my opinion.
For what?
The big trophies.
You think they can win the Premier League if they had what?
If they had... I think Robert Sanchez is improving, but I don't think he's a Premier League title goalkeeper, winning title. I think centre-half as well. If you had a John Terry, a Thiago Silva, if you went and got that experienced guy... And not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, the training, the standards, the the making sure that everybody's sort of put in their place. I played in an era, we played with Gianfranco Zola and Ruud Gullit and others, but Dennis Wise was the captain, he was the leader, and he was on everybody. John Terry, the absolute same as well. That setting those standards, and also Reed being that captain on the pitch, so they need that manager on the pitch.
They need a better goalkeeper, they need a stronger captain, they need a better centre-half, and they need a proper centre-forward who's going to score them goals week in, week out. So they need a spine of the team. And when you think about how much money they've spent already, the likelihood of them doing that seems pretty unrealistic. Jason is a Chelsea fan. He joins us now. Hi, Jason.
Hello, sirs. How are we, Eminem? We good this morning?
Really good. We're good, thank you very much. What do you want to say about the Chelsea?
Chelsea boys in the house. Yeah, well, listen, Sam, I've spoken to you prior about my standing on Maresca and Chelsea at the moment. Unfortunately, I think the way the club, the hierarchy of buying players just means that we're just going to have young players being flipped constantly. And that's not going to be the formula that's going to win a title. It's really not. You might win a couple of cups along the way, but you're not going to win a title because you're going to lack consistency. You need the experience. The best football teams to ever win titles of any degree of consistency have a mixture, don't they? They have a mixture of younger players, academy players, and some old heads in the side. Certainly, Scott's side, when he played, they had it in an abundance, right? And you refer to John Terry, and we just don't have. When you think about some of the Chelsea centre-backs we've had at the club, there's no one, I daren't mention any names in the same breath as what we've got at the moment. And they just secured the back, the goalkeeper, the quality of goalkeepers we've had. I can go back to like Kudacini, was absolute quality before Cech came in. We've always had like some real kind of like quality, mature, experienced players within the squad that helped those younger players come through. We just don't have that.
But it is a different system now. And as you say, there is going to just be this annual churn of trading players. That's what it feels like. It's almost like commodity training. And you think that means that they can win a cup every now and again. But how satisfied are the fan base going to be if that continues over the long period?
Well, the thing is, I personally am always about winning trophies, right? I am. But what kind of trophies? If we're going to win a Carling Cup season after season and finish fourth in the league and do an Arsene Wenger and Arsenal and just be happy to get into the Champions League to be knocked out, then that's what the hierarchy want. I'm not happy with that. I want us to lift titles like we did previously. I want us to win Champions Leagues like we've done previously. Arsenal haven't, by the way. And so, let's carry on in that vein. But I just don't see it at the moment. And sadly, the young players, this ideology of flipping players and bringing them in and flipping them, it doesn't matter. It's just not going to be conducive to winning titles constantly. You'll get close, but I just don't think you're going to win.
Jason, thank you very much. Have a good Christmas, fella. I hope it's okay. Listen, I'd rather them develop some of the talents that they've got in the academy. We've always had a very good academy, always had players that are coming through. A lot of the players that are playing in the Premier League and are playing for England now have come through the Chelsea academy. We've seen a lot of that have been dismissed and taken on elsewhere. Yeah, that is frustrating from a Chelsea point of view. But I don't know. It just feels like we're getting to that crux point where the manager is starting to get irritated. Yeah. The fans are a little bit sort of like, I'm not convinced by this whole idea of the project. 03717 223344. Maybe we'll get into that again a little bit.
What is the idea? Please let us know.
What is the idea? What is the solution?
Let me know. Do you want to win trophies now?
Big Dad, tell us. We want to know. 81089. Text us. Do us a bit of Christmas cheer. We want to hear what the ultimate plan is. This is talkSPORT. We'll talk about PGMO next as well because, a couple of guns have been turned in their direction.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
It was Kepa to the rescue for the Gunners as the former Chelsea stopper saved Lacroix's penalty to clinch a semi-final tie against his old club and disrupt Palace's run of silverware. However, after narrow wins over Wolves and Everton and that defeat to Villa, Gabby's questioning whether Arsenal have the required ruthlessness to stay ahead of City.
Even in the Premier League, Manchester City scored 10 more goals than Arsenal. They need to be a bit more prolific, don't they? Gabriel Jesus, I know it's his first start, but I thought last night again reminds me of his time at Arsenal. It's not really clinical, is he?
The counter-argument came from Ali McCoist.
We're top in the league. We've now got Chelsea in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. We've lost 2 games, I think it is. One of them was to a ridiculous free kick from Szoboszlai, flew into the top corner, and the other one was to a 95th minute goal at Villa Park. So you could look at it that way. You've only lost 2 games.
Elsewhere it goes from even terrible to even worse for Ben Stokes' booze ballers, who've now lost Jofra Archer for the rest of the Ashes with a side strain. Jacob Bethel, meanwhile, has been picked at the expense of Ollie Pope at 3. And Captain Stokes has thrown his full support to Ben Duckett after a video widely shared on social media appears to show the opener drunk during a trip to the beach resort Noosa after the second test.
It's never a nice place to be in when the media world, but also the social media world, is just piling on top of you. So I will always try my best job to do that, to look after every single person in this group, from players to management, support staff, whatever it may be.
And 5-time major champion Brooks Koepka has left Live Golf to prioritise the needs of his family. The American controversially quit the PGA Tour to join Live in 2022. Current rules mean he can't rejoin the PGA Tour until August.
talkSPORT News.
More questions are being asked about the involvement of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor with Jeffrey Epstein after more files were released, and the Prime Minister's acknowledged those struggling with the cost of living in his Christmas message. More with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
A largely dry Christmas Eve across the UK, but particularly windy in the far south.
Hello, very good Christmas Eve to you, Christmas Eve morning. Whatever you're doing today, make sure you take Cast with you on the talkSPORT app. Download it. You can flick through both talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. No darts today. Darts are taking a break. It's back on the 27th. Do you know what we have got for you, though? Boxing Day, an absolute full programme of EFL football starting at 12:30. I know you're in action at 12:30. You're at Millwall, aren't you?
Yeah.
Looking forward to that?
Absolutely.
Birmingham in action as well on Boxing Day, very early.
Can I have a little bit of a pop at the Premier League?
Go on, yeah, go for it.
Just Boxing Day.
Yeah,
you know,
it's ours.
No games.
It's football.
But from a
don't take that away from us.
I don't speak on behalf of every footballer, but I think I speak on behalf of a lot. The 2 games where the hairs of the back of your neck really stand up. First game of the season, because you don't quite know what's going to happen.
Boxing Day.
Second one is Boxing Day.
Boxing Day is important. It's football. We have got one Premier League game on Boxing Day.
We have.
Manchester United against Newcastle. Guess what? Live on talkSPORT, 8 o'clock. And Steve Bruce is going to be with me for that one. He did the Manchester United Bournemouth game with me the other week. He was brilliant. And if he's bringing that level of entertainment, we're all over it. Manchester United and Newcastle live on talkSPORT, 8 o'clock on Boxing Day night. Now, he is very upbeat and happy, but David Moyes and Eddie Howe are not. So they have claimed the professional game match officials are reluctant to engage with managers because so many refereeing decisions this season have been difficult to explain. The Everton manager, in his own audition to be a bit of a Grinch, says he half choked when Fulham were awarding a penalty that proved to be the match winner against Nottingham Forest on Monday night for Douglas Luiz's touch on Fulham's Kevin. Everton were denied a penalty on Saturday for a similar offence by William Saliba on Tierno Barry in their home defeat by Arsenal. And the boss used his pre-match press conference for the game against Burnley to call out the inconsistency of referees.
I was actually half choking last night when I saw the decision given, and Wales wasn't. So it feels as if it looks like certain clubs seem to get those decisions and other clubs don't. We seem to be one of the ones on the latter side of that. But I think there was one earlier in the season as well. I think it was Brentford with Van Dijk as well, quite similar. And I think eventually it was given. So no, we're disappointed it wasn't given on the day. We're looking at others which look as if they have been.
We had a bit of a debate about this in one of the WhatsApp groups that I'm in, and a lot of the feeling from some of the old school guys was that this should never have been a penalty. This Kevin foul, or Douglas Luiz foul on Kevin, and the other sort of side of the coin was that there was contact, so therefore it can be given as a penalty. My view on it was pretty simple. Having watched the game and been at the game at Hill Dickinson at the weekend, if you're not giving that one, which I thought was a penalty, by the way, I thought Tierno Barry got kicked by Saliba. That was a penalty. We've seen those given over the course of the season so far. Then you've got to, if you're not giving that one, you cannot give this one either, because actually I think this one was softer.
Right. So for me, this is a VAR question, and I've always been for VAR, but the lightest of touches. I don't think either were penalties, by the way. So I don't know if that makes me old school or not.
Okay.
I mean, there's contact.
Well, I can take that.
Yeah.
If neither of them are penalties, that's fine.
No, because
but I can't take one or the other.
Right. So this is where I'm going to go with it. But contact, yes. But if you look at the way that both of those players, Barry and Kevin, move their bodies afterwards, shall we say, that's an unnatural reaction to the contact.
So you're saying they're simulating?
For me, simulation. I don't blame them for it. They're trying to push the boat. One didn't get the decision, one did. The thing we've got in common here is that VAR didn't get involved or didn't overturn or try to overturn a decision. And this is what I've always been saying about VAR. It was meant to be at the start, and it was horrendously applied for many a year, but they were trying to just get the perfect decision, and you almost can't get the perfect decision. You wait until it's clear and obvious. And you're saying one thing with one penalty, I'm saying another, so therefore it's not clear and obvious. So VAR don't get involved.
So what you're saying is that the initial decision might have been wrong, but it wasn't such a grave error that VAR has to get involved.
Right.
And that's that is the level that we're looking at here. This is the bar. The bar is so high that you only get involved now if someone makes a major mistake.
I've listened to lots of people, and lots of people whose opinions I respect hate VAR. And I'm like, no, everybody was moaning before VAR came in about terrible decisions being made, and suddenly VAR comes in, VAR is shocking, we want to get rid of VAR. Well, one, it's not going anywhere, but two, it doesn't have to. We're still always going to have these arguments in the pub on a Monday, that's a penalty, that's not a penalty. That's never going to go away. Look, David Moyes is right, because they're very similar, and there is an inconsistency. But again, isn't that what we want in terms of giving the referee the power?
Yeah, the inconsistency is the referee makes the call, right? So the referee doesn't make the call on Saturday night, but he does make the call on Monday night.
I personally disagree with the call on Monday night. I agree with the call at the Hill Dickinson. My point is, we want the lightest of touches.
But from a PR point of view, if you're the PGMO, right, you're looking at Saturdays. You've seen Saturday's decision. You know it's caused a little bit of controversy. You can't have the same decision 2 days later and then go, oh, okay, we're not going to get involved in that. Surely, at some point, the VAR goes, hold on, that's very similar to what we saw 2 days ago.
You can say it's similar.
We didn't give. So do you think maybe we should just be a little bit more consistent and not give this one as well? Ref, do you want to go and have a look at the monitor just to make sure you're happy that that contact had consequence? Because that's what we're also told. Contact has to have consequence.
Yeah. And again, Kevin was clever. Barry, if you look at the way he moved his body afterwards, I'm sorry. Yes, contact, but not enough. Not enough for a pin. Absolutely not. I understand what you're saying, but again, I go back to the fact of we will always want VAR to almost not get involved. And the VAR haters should be okay with the decisions that's been made here, because VAR didn't get involved in either.
OK, let's hear from Eddie Howe, because he's been seeking clarification from the Professional Game Match Officials Board over a penalty appeal that was turned down against Chelsea. You might remember it. Trevor Chalobah barged into Anthony Gordon. I must admit, I thought when I saw it, that's a penalty. It didn't go to VAR and they didn't overturn it. But Eddie Howe says they want a bit of an explanation.
Yeah, we will be seeking clarification, and I think that call's already gone in, not from me personally, but from the club. And yeah, we just want to know the thought process behind the decisions.
That was Eddie Howe, and I think that's quite a reasonable response, isn't it? We want to know the thought process behind the decisions. Do clubs have the right to voice their grievances publicly, or should they keep the issues private? What perceivable good can actually come out of criticising in public? I mean, I don't actually mind the big discussions about it, because I think it brings it all into the open and we're all getting a different view, or we're getting educated as to what the thought process is. I think it's quite a good thing.
And I don't think Eddie was criticising that. No. He was just asking for clarification. I love listening to him. I think he's a brilliant coach, a brilliant manager, and we can talk Newcastle a little bit later on. I think he's doing a fantastic job with still one hand tied behind his back.
David was criticising a little bit though, wasn't he?
Yeah. And I don't blame him. From a manager's point of view, I mean, I don't know if we live in a world where we think that everybody should agree. It's okay to not agree. It's okay to agree to disagree. And David Moyes is coming from a manager's stroke Everton point of view, where he can say, well, they're very similar. I don't have a problem with him saying that. This is a multi-billion-pound industry where managers, they're always 6 games away from being in massive trouble. So the pressure that's on them all the time, I don't have a problem with them doing that. The PGMO should be able to deal with that, and they should be able to give an explanation. And whether you agree with that or not, like a referee's decision on a Saturday afternoon or a Wednesday evening, you have to deal with it. Again, that's what we want. It makes me laugh that the VAR haters sort of saying, oh, you know, it'll take away the arguments of having down the pub that we... No. They'll always be there. There'll always be the inconsistencies. It's just VAR now is doing what we all wanted it to do, and not get involved unless it's absolutely clear and absolutely obvious.
Do you think it's getting better, VAR? Because if you look at the statistics from 24-25, the total VAR errors were 18 in compared to 31 in 23-24, which is a 42% improvement.
Who defines that?
Well, I think there's a key incident match panel that it's an independent panel that assess all of the decisions.
You know, I wouldn't ask anyone else other than you.
Yeah, I know. I'm the saddest person that you know.
Everything.
The reduction is down to largely fewer missed VAR interventions, which is subjective. The average delay per match due to VAR has gone down to 39 seconds from 64 seconds in 23-24, and it is getting better, allegedly because of semi-automated offside technology, although there has been a few incidents where that has failed recently. Regular Premier League VAR departments for 7 match officials have progressed through a dedicated training programme, which is ongoing, and more training taking place for a potentially new cohort of just VARs as well. So they are doing their best to try and make it better over time. But is it something that's going to evolve rather than just emerge as being brilliant?
Well, that's a lot of information you've just chucked out there.
I'm just giving you the statistics.
And thank you for that. I think it is evolving. I think we're already seeing it. It's taken far too long. I mean, there's been some horrendous decisions where VAR thought it was there to re-referee the game, and it's not. And I go back to it, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm absolutely and always have been for VAR, but for many a year, not in the way it's been implemented.
Yeah.
The way it's been implemented this season is exactly what I've been saying all along, and we're still getting the arguments. You can't please all of the people all the time, Sam.
You like the high VAR?
I love the high VAR.
Good. 03717223344. If you want to have your say, you can text us 81089. You're listening to Matterface and $1 Million Minto on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Next, we're looking at players and their preparations over the Christmas period. Are Christmas dinners on the menu? I do like these classic Christmas songs, by the way. I do. You know, like, there's a lot of new ones that I like as well, but the classic ones like this one is, you know, it gets me. I like it. It says Christmas, doesn't it?
What's your ultimate Christmas song?
Do you know what? I think it's very difficult because there are so many good ones.
Yeah.
But I do like Please Come Home for Christmas. Baby, Please Come Home for Christmas. You know, U2 did it. Michael Bublé does it on his little album.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. Darlene Love does that. I like All Alone at Christmas from Home Alone 2 by Darlene Love as well. That's a very, very good Christmas song.
I wasn't happy with the kids came home and they were watching Home Alone 2 when we watched Home Alone the other day.
Oh, right.
Came home from the Arsenal game. They're watching Home Alone.
They're watching it without you?
Without me.
Outrageous.
Bang out of order.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
This is a double-edged thing. You have to do these things together.
If you watch the first one, you have to watch
absolutely. You can't do one.
Yeah.
It's not one and done. You want to say something about VAR before we move on?
No, I just want to say that, you know, stop thinking that VAR, the introduction of it, is going to make everything perfect and there'll be no arguments. That's impossible.
Yeah.
So the moment we accept that and realise that there'll always be a discussion.
Well, because the laws are subjective, right?
Absolutely.
So sometimes a human has to interpret the law to decide whether or not you're going to intervene. And no two humans think the same.
Unless it's not subjective, so therefore it's offside or it's not offside. But then don't get going on that because Adrian Durham doesn't like that conversation. And there's subjective offside on that one as well. You will always have that's a pen, that's not a pen.
There's a demarcation point now, and we've sort of said this is the technology we're using, and we're okay with the semi-automated offside technology. So if we're all using it and it's the same for everybody, then fine, we just go with it.
Yeah, but just accept that VAR is not going to cure all the diseases in the world.
Who's right when it comes to a bit of common sense around Christmas? Apart from Scott Minto, obviously. Sean Dyche has told his Nottingham Forest players to enjoy themselves this Christmas, but use a little bit of common sense. Pep Guardiola said Manchester City's players were weighed when they returned to training to check their fitness has not dropped over the festive period. Scott thinks that's just normal. That's what everybody does, usually every Monday morning anyway. So here's what Sean Dyche said.
I think for the players to use a bit of common sense. You know, I don't mind them having a Christmas dinner. Why not? You know, sometimes the psychology is as important as anything, you know, with athletes and, you know, within reason, you want them to enjoy their Christmas day. I certainly do. It's a big part of their life. These players are working ever so hard on varying moments, and I know Man City do as well, of course, year on year, you know, in Europe and all sorts. So, no, I don't mind that, but it's fair to say that I do take fitness considerably important, or I take it very importantly, I should say. But I'm not obsessed with it and weights and all that sort of stuff. But it's fair to say I've got my eye on it. So, they'll be encouraged to enjoy their day. They have got the day off, which I wanted to do, obviously with the extra day before the next game. But, yeah, a bit of common sense, I think.
I don't think there's much difference between what Pep is saying and what Sean is saying.
No. I mean, you could argue it's quite old school to give 3 days off, and yet that's what Pep's done. You know, Sean is just basically saying, you got the day off because you've got the extra day. We haven't got a Boxing Day game, so we trust you.
But it's been made out to be like Pep's got this one stance and he's letting everybody, you know, go on this sort of, you know, have a couple of days off, but make sure you come back because I'm going to weigh you when you get back. Make sure you come back fit and ready to go. And Sean Dyche is like, oh, use some common sense. And it's almost a bit like they've been pitched against one another because we've got a perception of these two different managers, that they've got two different approaches. Actually, they're both saying exactly the same thing, aren't they? Go away, relax, have some downtime, enjoy your family, enjoy your Christmas, but don't overindulge, don't do anything stupid, and be ready to play on the 27th.
He hasn't come out and said it, but of course they'll be weighed, and they'll be weighed in terms of the body fat as well, you know, because that happens on a regular basis. When I started playing, you probably did have a few drinks, not necessarily on Christmas Day, but, you know, even a few drinks on Christmas Eve or whatever. But he evolved to the point where every Monday, as you just said there, we come in after a weekend and we're weighed and with the body fat. So, listen, they're athletes nowadays.
Did you ever do the bin bag thing?
No.
Did you ever?
I didn't need to worry about that. No.
$1 million Minto.
Well, no, definitely.
No worries.
I wouldn't go.
I bet there was some though. I bet there was some that came in and had to sweat it out.
Really. Absolutely. There were loads, and then you realised as you again as sports science evolved, but that doesn't really do anything. You just lose liquid and then you rehydrate again. There was one player, and I won't mention a name, and it was a pre-season thing. We were told we had to come in and hit a certain weight, and if we hit that certain weight, it was about £3 over what we were before. Then we could have another week off, and if not, we'd start pre-season then. this person came in almost a stone overweight. He said, the manager said to him, right, you're starting today. He said, no, I'm not. I'm off to Marbella tomorrow. So he went to Marbella for a week and came back a stone and a half overweight. So
did he start the season in the team?
I don't think he did.
No, I wouldn't. I'm surprised. I'm really surprised about that.
But listen, you're absolutely right. Two different approaches from a public point of view, but from behind the scenes, they're doing exactly the same thing.
What do you think about the game itself? Nottingham Forest against Manchester City is live on talkSPORT. The two teams coming together. Nottingham Forest, who, listen, they didn't look like they had the cutting edge on Monday night. And actually, Sean Dyche said they were wishy-washy in attack. They'll have to be a little bit better than that when they take on Manchester City.
Well, they will. And, it's been up until recently, although they, of course, did have that very good win against Spurs, where they found it hard to combine Europe and the Premier League. And I look at the table now, and, my West Ham are where they are. And I'm thinking, how can they get out of it? I mean, I was at Burnley at the weekend at Bournemouth, and Scott Parker, I think his tactics are absolutely spot on after 7 straight defeats. It was make yourself difficult to beat. And it looked like it was going to be a 0-0. Concede that goal, but then got the equaliser. But they're down. I don't see them staying up. I really don't. We know that Wolves will be down as well. The question is, how bad will they be in the Premier League history? That's the question now for Wolves. But looking where Nottingham Forest are and Leeds and how they've picked up, my goodness me, I think that half-time tweak at the Etihad for Leeds was absolutely massive for Daniel Farke, because since then, they've been pretty sensational. And the home fans now, we know what Ellen Road could be like, and they're all at one at the moment, so they need to make hay while the sun is shining. And then you've got Bournemouth and Spurs. So Nottingham Forest are the one team that you would probably think at the moment, obviously you can throw in Leeds there as well, that could get dragged in.
But they are capable of picking up big results, aren't they? We've seen them win big games before or disrupt teams in big games before. The fact that they haven't scored as many goals this season is probably down to the fact that Chris Wood has been injured for a long period of time. They had Awoniyi back on Monday night, which will be another weapon in their arsenal.
Yeah, and he's been really disappointing when you think about what he can bring. Okay, he's had a lot of injuries and that, but even when he's played, he hasn't impressed me in the way that he can fulfil his potential. I mean, look, to be fair to Sean Dyche, I mean that was a massive decision, the penalty decision, because it's meant a defeat for them on Monday, but
it also takes Fulham away.
Absolutely. So Fulham could easily get dragged in. They still might, but that was big 3 points for Marcus Silva and Fulham as well. So, I look at Forest and I look at Sean Dyche, and I think it's almost, they've got the players and they've got a manager who you want down there. I look at West Ham, I think they've got the manager, have they got the players? And that's
he hasn't had much of an impact so far. You say they've got the manager, but he hasn't really done much in terms of turning it around.
Not in the Premier League. I mean, he's turned it around in Europe, but again, as I said, the combination of...
Nuno, I'm talking about here.
Oh, Nuno, sorry, I thought you were talking about Sean Dyche. No, he hasn't. And there were, the first few games where I think it was almost, he went with the players who he had, with him that didn't go on international duty.
That was so weird.
It was really strange. It was very strange indeed.
That was that Brentford game where a lot of them had come back from international duty on the Thursday, but they were playing on the Monday night. I didn't get that. And it really messed up. And then they went to Leeds on the Friday and he did the same thing and it messed up again. I just didn't get it.
No, but then they had the sort of back-to-back wins, didn't they, against Newcastle and Burnley. And that's where you're thinking, right, they're going to kick on. And I was at the Burnley game and I got the feeling that the fans themselves, a bit like the Leeds fans and even the Forest fans, are thinking, yeah, look, we're not happy with what we're seeing, but we know that our negative energy can emit to the players. So therefore, actually, we're going to be laying off them and be quite positive. And I genuinely thought those back-to-back victories against Newcastle and Burnley would see West Ham kick on, and it's not happened. And look, I mean, anyone can lose to Manchester City. I think the fact that, and even Villa, in a way, I feel sorry for Nuno. They're coming up against a side just in scintillating form right now. They've scored, 1-0 and then 2-1. Don't lose. Just find a way to not lose the game and get a point there. I was at the Brighton game where it looked like they were going to win and then Brighton got a late equaliser. So there's moments, but they've got to pick it up, because I was part of that squad back in 2003 that finished with 42 points.
If they'd picked you off, then they wouldn't have gone down. They play Fulham, they play Brighton, they play Wolves, they play Nottingham Forest on the 6th of January. It's a big period for West Ham United. It's a big period for Forest as well, because they've got two big home games. Manchester City, which is going to be difficult. Everton, always difficult. Then they go away to Aston Villa live on talkSPORT straight after that. And then that huge game against West Ham United. So I think it's a crucial period for both those two teams at the bottom of the table. Again, like we had a period in the autumn where it sort of defined who was going to be down the bottom and who wasn't. This might define whether or not Nottingham Forest and West Ham are going to be up against each other for a place in the Premier League next season, or whether West Ham are going to drop off entirely. We're going to speak to BetMGM in the next few minutes about the Saturday and Sunday programme of Premier League action and the Boxing Day game as well. Plus, we'll continue to take your texts on what is your sporting Christmas Grinch of 2025, and if your club season was encapsulated in a Christmas song, what would it be? 81089 on the text. You can WhatsApp us 03717 22 33 44. It's Matterface and Minto, and we're here right the way through till 1 o'clock.
It was Kepa to the rescue for the Gunners as the former Chelsea stopper saved Lacroix's penalty to clinch a semi-final tie against his old club and disrupt Palace's run of cup silverware. However, after narrow wins over Wolves and Everton and that defeat to Villa, Gabby's questioning whether Arsenal have the required ruthlessness to stay ahead of City.
Even in the Premier League, Manchester City scored 10 more goals than Arsenal. Yep. They need to be a bit more prolific, don't they? Gabriel Jesus, I know it's his first start, but I thought last night again reminds me of his time at Arsenal. It's not really clinical, is he?
The counter-argument came from Ali McCoist.
We're top in the league. We've lost 2 games, I think it is. One of them was to a ridiculous free kick from Szoboszlai, flew into the top corner, and the other one was to a 95th minute goal at Villa Park. So you could look at it that way. You've only lost 2 games.
Elsewhere, it goes from terrible to even worse for Ben Stokes' booze ballers, who've now lost Jofra Archer for the rest of the Ashes with a side strain. Jacob Bethel, meanwhile, has been picked at the expense of Ollie Pope at number 3. And Captain Stokes has thrown his full support to Ben Duckett after a video widely shared on social media appears to show the opener drunk during a trip to beach resort Noosa after the second Ashes test.
It's never a nice place to be in when the media world, but also the social media world, is just piling on top of you. So I will always try my best job to do that, to look after every single person in this group, from players to management, support staff, whatever it may be.
Christmas Kerwin is telling everyone to keep sober over Christmas, right? So she's just getting prepared to be the chief cook, Kerwin the cook, for Christmas. But she said, you know, if you're going to compete at the highest level, which I think she is, I think she thinks she's competing at the highest level.
I don't know whether you're talking about the England cricket team or what she's got.
I think she's got. Well, I'm talking about her meal for 12 or whatever it is that she's got to cook tomorrow. Stay off the champers then, Kerwin. That's our advice. Scott and I won't be, but don't worry about that. Time now to catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And I am delighted to say that we are joined by Dan Towles from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. And Dan is buzzing in from his holiday. Hello, Dan. You okay?
Morning, gents. How are we?
Dan is buzzing in from his latest holiday.
I was going to say, is he not away at the moment?
He's always away.
Him to dip in.
He's always away. He's never at home.
I'm never at home because I'm either working away and then I take a day off here and there, Scott, and I just get bundles of WhatsApp messages from Matterface and Crook claiming that I have more annual leave than anyone else in the UK, which isn't true.
Well, it's not just the WhatsApps. I do listen to talkSPORT as well, and they hammer you on air as well, Dan.
They
Even
do,
when
Scott.
you're not there.
They do.
Oh, hold on. Has someone got that violin from the Christmas cracker that we can play for
Where are you, by the way, Dan?
Where are you, Dan?
I'm in Brighton, all ready for Christmas now, but back in Brighton. But what Sam's relating to is I've actually booked today off holiday, but there's no one else available. So I said, I'll tell you what, give me the baton, I'll take it for a Wednesday and I'll dial into Matterface.
True leader.
Look at that. You absolute hero.
Trojan.
Okay, big Boxing Day of EFL action. Lots of teams are in action, including one of your many sides, because Newcastle are playing against Manchester United.
They are. The only Premier League game on Boxing Day, as you have alluded to already this morning. United have only managed to beat Newcastle once in the last 6 meetings between them, but they've just won 2 of the last 8 coming into this game, and it looks like they're going to be out with Bruno Fernandes. He's only missed 2 games through injury so far since signing, but he could miss the next 6, which includes 3 of the bottom 5 in Wolves, Leeds and Burnley, and then they've got some tougher tests where they've got Brighton in the Cup, and then they've got Man City and Arsenal. Newcastle have injury woes of their own. We know Sven Botman's out. Dan Burns still suffering from, I think it was broken ribs that he got in the time we're Derby. Tino Livramento looks like he could be struggling as well for the game at Old Trafford. And they've lost 5 of the last 7 away games in all competitions. So they go into the games as the outsiders at just shy of 2-1. United the 6-4 favourites. Scott, coming into this Christmas period, do you think it's fair to say Newcastle slightly behind where they probably wanted to be at this stage of the season and United on par?
Yeah, I mean, look, United haven't had Europe to worry about, so they should be where they are. I mean, Manchester United should be in Europe and they should be at the top tier in the Champions League every single season. But we know the history of what's happened in the last decade or so. So I'm not surprised to see Man United where they are. Newcastle's an interesting one that we could talk for a very long time about. The away form clearly has just not been good enough, but I don't think people quite realise just how difficult it is to combine the Premier League and the Champions League. And I'm not necessarily just talking about the games immediately after Champions League. It's just the combination of the two when they've got the richest owners in football, but they're not spending the money, or they have spent the money, of course. And there are maybe certain question marks against, a Ramsey and Alanga. Obviously, this has been injured. Voltemada's been there. So I understand why perhaps people are wanting Newcastle to be a little bit further up there, but I personally think it's really difficult to combine the two.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you even look at Palace's form in Europe as well and what they've done every time they've played at the weekend. So playing in Europe makes a big difference. But top 5 odds, Man United are 7-2. Top 4 odds, Man United are 7-2. Newcastle now 12-1. So I think if I was a betting man, I'll be back in Man United at 7-2.
Interesting. It's the final show before the weekend. We're going to do our golden goals. You just want to explain what that is and how good we are at it?
Free-to-play game on the app, no deposit required, and you could win up to £250,000 if you correctly predict 6 scores in the Premier League this weekend. But for you guys, we ask for a score line in one particular fixture, and if you get it correct, we put £500 towards prostate cancer. To be fair to say, we started off a little bit slowly. Now we're like London buses. The pot was struggling. Then Mr. Minto, fair play to you. You gave the guys a little bit of an injection towards the back end of November, and we've now had 4 in 4 weeks. Sam, you contributed last weekend. Gabby has a 50% strike rate, and even Neil Warnock popped up and pulled one out of the bag. There is one individual.
What about the other one?
We'll come on to Nostradamus in a minute. He's yet to add anything to the pot, but we're now ahead of where we were last season. So we've got £2,500 in the pot already. We were at 2 at the same time last year. So I'm hoping with the Christmas fixtures we can add a little bit more money to prostate cancer. And Sam, we're going to kick off with you with Arsenal Brighton.
Arsenal, I think, created enough chances in that first half in the game against Crystal Palace. I think that I know that they're a little bit frustrating for some of their supporters because they feel as if they're not scoring enough goals, but I think they will get over the line in this game. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Arsenal. Their defence is absolutely superb. They're overperforming on their XG against. They're underperforming a little bit on their XG for. But I think that, with the likes of Jesus getting up to speed, Gyökeres coming back from injury, Havertz about to turn up soon, competition for places starting to increase as well. The delivery that Martinelli and Madueke were putting in yesterday, and Saka as well. Look, I think they'll create chances. 2-0.
2-0, yeah. As you said about their defence, it's been so good. They've won and kept a clean sheet on 16 occasions already this season across all competitions. As a Brighton fan, I'd take a draw now if I could, but an Arsenal 2-0 win is an 11-2 chance. Scott, we've given you your old club Chelsea versus Aston Villa.
Oof, that's a tough one.
So just the Brighton is another one of your clubs then, clearly, Dan. I know they're your number one club, but there's a few others in there as well.
Scott, don't jump on the bandwagon.
Okay, big apologies. It sounds like we're on a bit of a run in the way that Aston Villa are, or certainly further than we are at the moment. But I actually think Aston Villa's run, or winning run anyway, is going to stop here. I think Chelsea at the Bridge, they're more than capable of beating almost anyone, as they've shown. Yeah. But Villa are in a great vein of form. Of course they are. Morgan Rogers, one of the standout players in the Premier League right now. I think this could be a really exciting game. I see goals. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
Yeah, same scoreline back in April, but only one's happened between them in the Premier League history. 2-2 draw, Chelsea Villa is 10-1. And then I believe, despite him not being in work today, I assume he's on holiday. Alex Crook has also sent in a prediction, Sam.
He has. He sent us in a little Christmas video. This is what he has delivered.
Morning, guys. Sorry I can't be with you today. I'm feeling under real pressure, actually, as the only one who's not put up a winning golden goals prediction so far. Let's see if we can change that. I've got the London Derby on Sunday. Crystal Palace against Tottenham. Palace suffering heartbreaking defeat in the League Cup quarter-final against Arsenal on penalties last night. Tottenham in no great form at all, setting a new club record for the most home defeats in a single calendar year by losing 2-1 at Liverpool. They did show a bit of character in that game, so I don't think this will be easy for Palace. But with no Christian Romero, no Xavi Simons either, Spurs do look light-handed. And if Palace can recover mentally and physically from what happened at the Emirates, I am going to go for a 2-1 victory for the Eagles. Happy Christmas.
Is he reading that? Is
he okay? Honestly, he looked like a hostage.
He did. He forgot to blink.
And he looked really angry about everything. He was like really sort of staring down the camera and trying to sort of concentrate.
You don't want to see the picture he's just sent us on the group WhatsApp.
I put it on Instagram. I'm not holding.
Is it there already? Is it?
Yeah, because I think he's taking a mick. He sent us a picture of him in a hot tub. I sent it to the boys and said they should get it on here.
Yeah.
I want everyone to see that.
With a light blue hat.
Yeah, there was a Manchester City hat, which was a bit weird. There it is. We've got it. There we go. There he is. Look at him. That's what he's doing today.
Well, it's nice to see he's been released, Sam, from doing that video. So Crookie went 2-1 Palace. Palace winners in 4 at Sellers Park. But a 2-1 win over Tottenham would be 7-1. So just recapping, Sam, you've gone for an Arsenal 2-0 win over Brighton. Scott, Chelsea 2, Villa 2. Crookie's gone for a 2-1 Palace win. It's 550-1 for the treble, but as we always say, let's try and get some more money for prostate cancer.
Absolutely. Let's finish off by having a look at the big horse racing day. A huge day at Kempton, always is. King George.
King George Day, yeah, it's such an open race. There's an argument for the majority of the field. Last year's winner, Banbridge, is 16-1, which shows how open it is. We're struggling to split the 3 at the top of the market, flip-flopping between 5-2 and 11-4, which includes the Irish pair, Factor File and Gaelic Warrior. They two saw out a classic last month in Ireland with Gaelic Warrior just winning by a neck. But I like the look of Harry Redknapp's horse, the Jukebox Man.
Yeah.
I thought it was really impressive last time out at Haydock, and whilst he needs to step up, he could be slightly overpriced at 6-1. And I did hear an interview that Harry Redknapp had the other day when they asked him would they prefer Spurs to win a trophy or for his horse to win the Jukebox Man to win the King George. He said, well, Spurs don't pay me anymore, so I'd rather win the King George. In that light, either way, I think it's going to be a cracker, and it's building up nicely and bubbling up nicely as we turn into the year, and then we'll be looking forward to Cheltenham.
Absolutely. By the way, well done at the BetMGM Christmas party. You did a really good job. Fantastic work. Thanks for joining us, Dad. Look at the panic on his face. He hasn't got a clue what I'm talking about. That was a look at the latest odds. All thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk. Download the app. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
That was really evil. There's no inside information there. I just said that just to spook him. I just wanted to see his face, and it worked.
Do you know what he's now thinking? What did I do? What did I do?
You're listening to Matterface and Minto on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcoew.com. Next, we'll be looking ahead to that weekend's Battle of the Sexes.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Yes, talkSPORT is already looking ahead to an exciting year in 2026, and we're giving you the chance to win a massive £26,000. It's 26k for 2026, and here is how to enter. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338, and text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can call 303 43 4239761. Lines close at 12 p.m. today. Friday, the 9th of January. That's when they close, and that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. UK residents only, 18 plus, and the network promotions, full terms and conditions are available at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text 83338 now with the word WIN at the front of your message, and good luck. Dan Towles from BetMGM has just texted me. He said, I massively panicked then. I literally was just winding you up just for the sake of it. The modern day Battle of the Sexes is going to take place very soon. In fact, it's on Sunday. Will it be the antithesis of the 1973 original? Let's speak to tennis broadcaster Marcus Buckland, who joins us now. Sabalenka against Kyrgios in an exhibition using modified rules. Just explain to us what this is all about and how has it come about, Marcus?
Well, Sam, you're absolutely right. This is a follow-on. We've had two high-profile Battle of the Sexes in the past. You mentioned 1973 when Bobby Riggs, who was 55 at the time, lost to Billie Jean King, who was 29. That was a huge cultural moment, massively significant for tennis and for the world in general. Less remembered, 1992, Jimmy Connors actually beat Martina Navratilova. And now we come forward to the modern era, and we've got, a meeting of two guys who have the same agent, it should be said, that this is an exhibition event, but there's so much negativity surrounding it, and I don't quite understand why. The court is the most interesting aspect of this particular event because Aryna Sabalenka's side of the net will be smaller. They have worked out that a woman effectively moves 9.5% slower than a man. So her side of the court is smaller. So there's less of a target for Nick Kyrgios to aim at. There is less room for Sabalenka to have to cover. And both players only get one serve at a time as well. So they're trying to equal things out as best as possible. And for all the negativity that's been swirling around in certain quarters, I think it's great. People are talking about tennis. No one quite knows what's going to happen, so I'm a big fan of this, to be honest.
The event in 1973 was all about achieving societal change, but some have argued that Sunday's event provides a platform for misogynists to diminish the women's game. Is that a fair criticism?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I've read that it's a lose-lose for the women's game. I would disagree. Most people, just about everybody, expects Aryna Sabalenka to lose. So big deal. If she wins, well, that's a big story. I think potentially that the person who could lose out here is Nick Kyrgios. I've just come back from India. I've spent 5 days watching Kyrgios play in a high-profile exhibition event in Bangalore. He's barely played this year, Sam. He's got all sorts of problems with his wrist in particular. Obviously, his serve is a massive weapon. He's only going to get one of those. By the way, he was a fantastic ambassador out in India. The fans who, of course, just adore big-name stars were all over him. He responded brilliantly. But I have to say that when that exhibition event got a little bit tight and his team went on to win it, he was struggling to find a first serve. And I honestly think that this could be a lot closer than many people are anticipating.
Marcus, I was going to ask you, where is Nick Kyrgios in terms of his fitness? You've just answered that. So then, with what you're saying about the court, the rules, Sabalenka being the world's number one, I think she was the first player to top 12,000 WTA points since Serena Williams back in 2015. Can we expect Sabalenka to win this one?
Well, I don't think we can expect her to, Scott. But listen, I mean, she is. She's my favourite player at the moment. She's strong. She's powerful. She's become very accustomed to winning. She can have some iffy moments as well when it all goes horribly wrong and she coughs up an alarming number of unforced errors. But I think the pressure is off her. I mean, they've both been saying the big things in the build-up. You know, she's going to whip ass or whatever the expression was. Nick says he's going to win comfortably. So they've built it up beautifully. Of course, Kyrgios is the red-hot favourite. I mean, it's logical, isn't it? If a top man plays a top woman, it doesn't have to be a top man, to be honest. Just the physical advantages of the male player makes him a red-hot favourite.
But it's not a level playing field, as you've just explained. Marcus.
Exactly. And for that reason, I'm tempted to say there's going to be a massive surprise here. I won't go that far, but I think it's really interesting. And that's why I don't get the negativity, why so many people are saying, oh, it's bad for the women's game. I really don't think it is. And more importantly than that, it's giving tennis a high profile at a time of the year when it doesn't normally receive any coverage whatsoever. So for me, it's not lose-lose. I think it's win-win.
And the appetite was there in 1973. 90 million people watched Bobby Riggs get beaten by Billie Jean King, which is the most watched tennis match of all time. How many people do you think will watch this at the weekend? And do you think this is sort of almost a little bit like tennis version of Jake Paul against AJ or those sort of fights in the boxing world where you're sort of coming away from traditional sport and moving into the realms of entertainment?
Absolutely right, Sam. Listen, it's on the BBC, so it's going to get a big audience in this country. I'm sure it's going to get a big global audience as well. And you're right, Patrick Mouratoglou, who's the famous tennis coach who's had the likes of Serena Williams under his charge for many years, is sort of trying to claim responsibility for the idea. He says he's been broaching this sort of event for a very long time and that the rules that he suggested in terms of the serve and the court dimensions, etc., have been taken on. And I think we'll see more of that. He's got his UTR events, which get players to be more jazzed up. Tennis needs to go down that route to a degree. Listen, we don't want to lose the traditional values of Wimbledon and all the rest of it. But if you can get some subtle nuances, events like this, that just captures the attention of those who might not necessarily want to watch a game of tennis, then I think quite possibly this is the future.
Marcus, Merry Christmas to you. Have a great festive period, and it's great to speak to you as always, the excellent Marcus Buckland, who joins us to talk about the Battle of the Sexes, which is Sunday. Next, we're going to be, he is very good. Next, we'll be looking at Alexander Isak's serious injury. The war of words between the two managers has now rumbled on. We'll do that next.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Good afternoon. On Christmas Eve, here are your sports headlines. I'm Will Hobbs. A third narrow win in a row for Arsenal, this time via penalties, thanks to the heroics from Kepa. But do they have enough goals to keep on staving off the challenges?
Lost to Villa 2-1. Just about beat Wolves, own goal to win the game. Just about beat Everton, missed a load of chances again. Everton should have had a penalty, it could have been an equaliser. Arsenal need to start scoring more goals because you're not going to keep getting away with this, are you, Ali?
I agree with you.
Former midfielder Adrian Clark says Arsenal do need to improve their ruthlessness, but deserve massive credit.
For a large part of this season, Arsenal have had like one striker available, and it's not your main man. At the moment, they're down to the bare bones with defenders as well. So I think, all things considered, it has been very, very good.
Well, City have scored 10 more goals in the league this season and look like they're adding a few more, with Antoine Semeno looking likely to join their ranks.
Yeah, it's going to be a big signing, I think, for City for the second half of the
I thought
season.
Manchester United's history would get it over the line, Crookie.
Are you trying to wind me up?
I think he is, Crookie. I've got that down as a Christmas Eve wind-up, mate.
Enzo Maresca, meanwhile, says both Liam Delap and Estevao are back fit to face Villa. And it gets worse for England's cricketers in Australia. Jofra Archer's out for the last two tests with a side strain, and Ben Stokes had to fling to Ben Duckett's defence, thanks to a drunken video of the opener being released. As the ECB investigates reports of a 6-day bender after the second test, Monty Panesar says he doesn't have an issue.
What else are you going to do? You know, be in your room, playing Monopoly, Connect 4 or Sudoku.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go out there, have a few drinks, but also it helps you to clear your mind. They have plenty of time to get over the hangovers as well.
There's more on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A 13-year-old British boy has been stabbed to death in Portugal, and more questions are being asked about the involvement of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor with Jeffrey Epstein after more files were released. More from Amelia at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
A mild, sunny and breezy Christmas Eve. Have a good one.
Hello, very good afternoon to you. It's Christmas Eve, and Santa's getting ready. He's finished wrapping his presents. He started his tour of the world. He'll soon be at your house, coming down your chimney. What's he got in his sack for you? Well, poor old Liverpool going to lose out on Alexander Isak, unfortunately, because of the injury that he picked up in Saturday's game against Tottenham Hotspur. And it's going to be quite a serious one, Scott, isn't it? Because it looks as if that injury is going to rule him out for at least 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it's a massive blow, and it's amazing, isn't it, how after what happened, how he refused to play for Newcastle, and then clearly he wasn't fit. It took him ages to get fit. He still, you could argue, isn't fit, or certainly not being the player that Liverpool wanted him to be. He came off the bench, he scores, and in the same movement, he's out for a couple of months.
What did you make of the tackle?
I thought it was a tackle that you had to make. I'm sorry.
Reckless?
No. I think if Arne Slot had seen one of his defenders sort of letting the player have the shot and they end up scoring and not make a kind of diving challenge for it, he'd be having a pop at them. So, no, it's one of those unfortunate incidents, Sam, that a defender has to happen. This is a physical game. You know, it's not one where you just sort of like non-contact. Not yet. So, defender got a chance of scoring. He's got to try and stop him scoring. And if it was the roles reversed, Arne Slot would be saying exactly the same, and Thomas Frank would be saying probably exactly the same.
Well, Thomas Frank agrees with you.
Unfortunately, Isak's planted his foot straight there, and that makes it look worse than it is. I think that would be a natural reaction for any defender. Or put it this way, if my defenders don't do that, then I don't think they are true defenders. So I don't see that at all. And I think Ragland's challenges, normally you haven't seen, I think, anyone from Mickey, as I remember it. So I see him as a very fair and competitive player.
It was quite a robust challenge, wasn't it? And I did just wonder, after the ball had gone, he did make contact with him, whether or not the referee might take action from it. But the war of words between the two managers, is it just simply about them backing their players and coming to the sort of support of their players, or was Van der Ven ultimately in the wrong?
No, it's just literally the tribalism that we see in football with the fans is exactly what's happening with the managers. The managers, obviously, I do feel for Arne Slot the way this season has gone so horrendously wrong, where everyone was sort of saying, on paper at least, before a ball was kicked, this is a better Liverpool side than last season. Look what he did last season. And yet it's gone so wrong. And again, what's happened with Alexander Isak, you know, the way that he said, I'm not going to play, you know, the way he left Newcastle, basically. And then it's taken so long for him to get going, and it will take him a lot longer as well. So this season might almost be a write-off for him.
Van der Ven has reportedly reached out and apologised to Isak. Have you ever been in that situation before?
I can't. I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've been trying to dive in and the tackle. But if I remember it rightly, you know, it was Romero gave the ball away and then suddenly he's out of position. So Van der Ven's trying to come round and cover for the mistake that his teammate has made. I don't ever remember making a tackle that has developed into a serious injury. But I think, again, if you're talking about the 90s, these things happened and you just kind of moved on. You know, the bottom line, was their intent? You know, you can argue whether it's reckless or not, or whether it's forceful. Of course it was forceful, and in a way it should be forceful. As Thomas Frank says, that's what I want my defenders to do. You're not a defender if you're not trying to stop a potential goal. And he couldn't quite do that. But no, I mean, these type of things happen. I think even Alexander Isak realises, as much as he's absolutely gutted with the way this season's gone and that particular incident as well, he realises part and parcel of football.
We understand now that Mo Salah is going to stay at the club because of the injury to Isak. I mean, was that always going to be the case anyway? Were they always sort of thinking that actually the relationship between the two was going to come to the end at the end of the season rather than beforehand?
Not necessarily. I think it's definitely compounded it now with Isak being injured, and he quite simply they can't afford to let Salah go. But I listened to Martin O'Neill the other day, and I'm absolutely with him. Salah needs to apologise. And
he's not going to do that.
Well, he doesn't necessarily have to do it publicly, but I think he should do it to his manager, at least, because he talked about he's been thrown under the bus. Well, he's thrown Arne Slot under the bus. Slot.
Why do you say that?
Because he said, I used to have a relationship with Slot and I don't now, and Slot knows nothing about it.
That's what he says.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So one of them's not telling the truth.
Well,
we don't know which one it is, but one of them's not telling the truth, right?
No, the only thing I can defend Salah is, look, his form has not been good enough. He's a Liverpool legend, of course, in Liverpool's all-time team, and boy, there's been some great players down the years. Premier League team all-time as well. But he was given enough games to try and get good form. The only thing I would say is, which would surprise me, is that Arne Slot didn't communicate to him, and if he didn't, then I think that's bad man management. If he did and said, look, I've given you enough games here, or I'm going to give you a couple more, I need more from you.
But the suggestion is that he didn't communicate with him. From Salah's perspective, he doesn't feel he's been communicated with, so why does he have to apologise for that? Is it just not a misunderstanding?
Well, Salah turned round and said that he wasn't offered a contract when we know that he was offered a contract last year. So let's just say Salah's not always on the right side of the truth. You know, he'll come from his agenda. So we don't know what the truth is. We can only surmise what we're hearing and what we're guessing. But what we do know, I think Arne Slot seems to be a very good talker, communicator. I think he'd be a very good man manager. I think he would have basically maybe had a word with Mo Salah. If he hasn't, then I completely get it. And it's not that Mo Salah's done enough to justify his position however he plays, but I do think when you play with certain players that are geniuses, and he is a genius, you do need to treat them a little bit differently. If he didn't, then I agree with Salah. But if he did, and Salah's just throwing his toys out the pram and perhaps not telling the truth like he didn't last season. The bottom line is, Sam, the question is what's best for Liverpool Football Club? And going back to whether he should go, whether he should stay, Liverpool Football Club, as long as he can accept that he's now, and it's the problem with these geniuses when they're just coming down a little bit and they're not quite that out and out star anymore. They have to accept they're part of the squad now, and that's something that he'll have to accept. But with Isak being injured, maybe he'll be having more minutes and he can manipulate the system around that.
Is that squad going to be good enough to be able to compete on all the fronts that they need to compete on over the course of the next few months? Because with Isak out, with Salah away, probably until the end of January if Egypt reach the final, is there a case that actually they might need to dip into the transfer market for more than just the defender, which they clearly need because of the injuries that they've had so far and the failure to secure Mark Gay?
Well, it does look like, well, we don't know actually, do we? I was going to say it looks like they're not going to go in for Mark Gay. They may well do it. I mean, they've
been linked with Semeno and Gay for a very long time, but it doesn't look like they're going to go for either of them now.
They need Mark Gay, but if I'm Palace, there's no way he's going. I'd let him go on a free. You know, they've still got a chance of finishing 4 or 5 places above where they would without a Mark Gay. So that's next to, 12, 15 million in terms of what they'd get. They've got a chance of winning another major trophy, a European one, albeit they're in the playoffs now. I personally, if I'm Mark Gay and Oliver Glasner, it's almost over my dead body. He's not going anywhere. They've still got enough going forward. My worry has always been this season, and still is, the defensive point of view. That's the thing they need to sort out more than going forward. But you have to say, in the last 6 games, they've won 4, drawn 2. He seems to be solving the problems. What's now the aim for Liverpool? I'm sorry, it's not to win the title. They're 10 points off Arsenal. It's to make sure you finish in the top 4 and try and go deep into the Champions League.
There's a lot of teams that want to finish in the top 4, and Manchester City and Aston Villa and Arsenal look pretty much ensconced in there. You've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, maybe even Tottenham, who we just heard from Thomas Frank there. They're quite some way off it at the moment. They're sitting in 14th, but they're actually only 7 points off the top 4.
It's a long way.
7 points.
7 points.
Why?
Plus the clubs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to get to 5th. So what you're saying is you're going to finish above either Liverpool, Chelsea or Aston Villa. And you're 7 points off Liverpool and Chelsea. And you're a million miles away from Aston Villa.
Do you think Newcastle in a race for a Champions League place?
No. I think they're only 6. Of course, 6,
they're only a point
away.
More better off than Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, they were 6 points away. Are they in the race for it? Of course they are. Do I think they'll be finishing top 5? No, I don't. I think the combination again
Still 21 games to be played.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a long way to go. And that's why I think, as well as Aston Villa have been doing, I don't see them being title challengers come the end of the season. I think with 6 games to go, they will have fallen away a little bit. It looks like they probably haven't got, from a PSR point of view, the ability to go again like they did last January. And I think this squad is not strong enough. They're on a brilliant run at the moment, make hay while the sun is shining. But I think it's between Arsenal and City in terms of the title.
Earlier on today, we asked you for a little bit of help to give us a bit of festive cheer. We asked you to encapsulate your club's season in a Christmas song. 03717223344. Thomas Kent says, Plymouth Argyle's Christmas song, Hallelujah, because we finally started to win some games, Tom, in Devon. And we asked you for your sporting Christmas Grinch as well of 2025. The Grinch has to be Jim Ratcliffe, says Stephen Johns. Not only did he take food away from staff, he literally took the plate away as well. And Nigel Hennigan says the Grinch has to be Alexander Isak for refusing to play for Newcastle. And the Sheffield Wednesday Christmas song from Aid in Edenbridge says, Heaven knows I'm miserable now. 03717223344 continues to WhatsApp us. You can text us 81089. We'll talk Manchester United, Newcastle, the big Boxing Day game next. This is it. This is it for me. I like this. Yeah, a bit of Michael Bublé, Please Come Home for Christmas. That's one of my favourite ones.
On the karaoke?
Do you know what? Yeah, I do like a little bit of karaoke, I've got to be honest with you.
You and Crookie?
Never together, actually. Yeah, no.
The only time you're not together?
Well, yeah, he sort of dominates the old, the crooning. I'm not up for the crooning. He likes the crooning.
No, he was singing in Little Italy.
Yes, I imagine.
Ronan Keating. In the morning. It was Ronan Keating.
Yeah, he's always the same. And did he do the actions?
He did.
Yes.
Like he did in Tenerife.
Like he does the touch your hands. Yeah, he does it. That's him. That's his Christmas trick, his little party trick, and he's very good at it, I must say.
He'll have to meet him at some point.
This Christmas, talkSPORT is the only place on national radio for live football on Boxing Day. And that includes Manchester United against Newcastle United and the exclusive home of all 10 Premier League games between the 30th of December and New Year's Day, including Arsenal against Aston Villa. The best way to listen is by downloading the talkSPORT app. We have got some absolute belters, by the way, on the 30th, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and then Liverpool Leeds I'm doing on New Year's Day as well, which is pretty impressive. What a good game that is going to be.
I'm at Palace.
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Who they got?
Fulham.
That's important. Yeah, they can get some points there.
Chelsea on the 30th.
Who they got?
Bournemouth. Oh, you're testing me now, aren't you?
Yeah, Chelsea's
big. A long way ahead, that, Sam. You know, we've got Christmas before then.
Yeah. Manchester United Newcastle kicks off 8 o'clock on Boxing Day. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games against Newcastle, Manchester United, as many as they had in their previous 38 against them. It's the first Premier League Boxing Day in history to see as little as 1 game being played. It's a big shame for the fans. And I think the sport needs to be careful not to eradicate its traditions.
Ooh, absolutely. I mentioned earlier about how, you know, as a footballer, you're conditioned from being an apprentice, where you go in and you used to clean the boots, you don't anymore. Don't get me going on that. You know, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then the game would be Boxing Day, and it's part of the tradition. The whole point of football is it's kind of antisocial, but it's social for the people who work the typical hours, evenings and weekends, Christmas, Easter. That's what it's all about. And Boxing Day, again, first game of the season and Boxing Day are the 2 most special games.
And they keep telling us it's because the contracts say they have to play most of the games on the Saturday and the Sunday.
Why?
Okay, but this is a Friday. It's not like a massive departure, is it? And it is a public holiday, so why can you not play even 3 of the games?
Are you telling me the broadcasters would hold them to the contract?
No. There's no way. I tell you what, if Sky could have a whole day of Premier League football on Friday, a whole day on Saturday and a whole day of Sunday, they would be all over that.
So I don't get it.
Nor do I. Don't get it at all. And then we've got Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday anyway, or Tuesday and Thursday, next week. And then the following week, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah. So, we're constantly moving the football around. Why on earth we can't have it on the Friday, I don't understand. What's more important, I suppose, is that Manchester United are going to be without Bruno Fernandes. He's only missed 3 Premier League games since 2020. How difficult is it going to be for them without a fit and firing Šeško? He's not up to speed yet. And Burma being away, Bruno Fernandes being injured, to create chances and score goals, because that's not their forte anyway.
No, I mean, how will United react to being without Bruno Fernandes? No one on this planet knows, because you just said that he's only missed 3 games since 2020, so he's never injured. So for him to be out, I think is a massive, massive blow. He has been, to say he's been their standout player since he arrived, really since post Sir Alex Ferguson era, I think would be a massive understatement. Not only do his numbers stand up in terms of the United players of the last decade, but actually they stand up with the best players in the Premier League over the last decade. And I think when you're playing for Manchester United and how poor they've been, when you think about the team that I played against, the Beckham, the Keane, the Scholes, the Giggs, I mean, it's levels. It's you need to get to stages. So it's wrong to compare to that era. But Bruno Fernandes not playing for Manchester United, you're almost taking 20% out of the team.
We mentioned earlier that there might be a little shift to the formation coming in soon. Amorim has always been wedded to his very famous 3-4-2-1 formation. He did tweak it recently in the game against Bournemouth. Do you think that the change will be precipitated by the fact that Fernandes and Menu are both out at this moment in time? Menu hasn't played, but he's the natural replacement.
But again, it's almost like how United are going to play without Bruno. I mean, Ruben Amorim's never really done a different system.
No, he hasn't.
Even going back to his Portuguese days.
Yeah, we went through the whole lot, didn't we?
Before Sporting, absolutely. He hasn't done it. So for him to be a typical 4-3-3, I'm still waiting to see it. I think
Casemiro being back is going to be massive for them.
Casemiro's there. Obviously, Martinez was there. He could have put Mason Mount, dropped in and put on Zerki. There's options for him to keep the same system. But to be fair to him, he says within that system, it's very fluid. You mentioned earlier, again, it can be a 4 and that one wing back can really bomb on. The other one can tuck round and it can be a 4 for a period of time. Or wherever the ball is, I want you here. So it's not your complete 3-4-2-1 whatever. But there's no doubt about it. You know, we've seen it before, like the Everton game. How can it be where you've got your 3 centre-halves who are getting the most touches on the ball? You need your best players to be having the most touches on the ball, and you need to find a system for that. And he hasn't done that so far. But I have seen a big improvement with United over the last few months, for sure.
They played some of the best football I've seen them play, actually, in the last couple of weeks, especially in that game against Bournemouth. I thought it was brilliant to watch, great fun to watch. They played actually quite well in the game against Aston Villa, where they ended up losing late on in that game. Lisandro Martinez stepped into the midfield role. Maybe he'll be used in that role again on Boxing Day evening. Newcastle United, it depends on your perspective, doesn't it? If you're Ollie, our producer, and you're glass half empty, it's 1 win.
Is this where we get Ollie in now and he has a little rant?
He's won 2 of the last 6. And Newcastle have lost 1 in 7, though, if you're an optimist. Depending on how you look at it, depends on your point of view, doesn't it? They're in the Carabao Cup semi-final. They're 6 points off the 4th in the league. They've got a chance of automatic qualification in the Champions League. But why does it feel like Ollie is such a miserable Newcastle United fan?
Is he the Grinch then?
He may well be the Grinch.
Is that what we're saying?
He may well be the Grinch. Why is he so miserable? Come on. The feeling is that they can't seem to find any consistency. Is that just because of the fact that they've had so many injuries?
Yeah, look, I think Eddie Howe is the best English manager out there, and the obvious choice, although not necessarily the next choice for England after Thomas Tuchel. Money has been spent. You know, Voltemada, I think, has done exceptionally well. Visa's been injured. You know, Ramsey's not been played too much, and Elanga's not played too much. So, in some respects, Ollie can turn around and say, well, hold on a minute. You know, this is the whole point of having a squad and people coming in. In terms of the best 11, I think the best 11, especially at home, can compete with anybody. Absolutely anybody in Europe, and we've seen that.
Hasn't been available enough, has it?
No. And I look at the home form versus away form, and there's an issue. There's absolutely a mentality issue that he has to try and get to the bottom of, and I don't quite know why that is. And I'm interested to hear if Newcastle fans are trying to explain. I mean, 1 win away from home in the league. Again, I go back to what I said, that the combination, and we've seen it at Newcastle a few seasons ago, Aston Villa, although they nearly got back into the Champions League places again last season. You know, Chelsea, why they're not Premier League title contenders for me, the combination of Premier League and Champions League. And again, I'm not just talking about the immediate game either before or after. I'm talking about the accumulation of how difficult it is. But he has to find a way to use the players that he has paid money for, and they can actually play and still keep up that same level. And that's not happened.
And that intensity actually causes them a little bit of a problem in terms of fatigue sometimes, and they've lost a lot of points from winning positions. It happened again on Saturday, but Eddie Howe says he's not concerned.
I think there's been different games with different themes behind why we've conceded late on. Certainly, the words you started with there, protecting the game, that's a difficult one, because if you're not winning, if you're winning by a goal and suddenly you go into protection mode, that can have really negative consequences. So it's about getting the mentality right. For us, we shouldn't really change too much, in my opinion, between times of games and how we play. We want to be the same team throughout the game, and we want to have the feeling and confidence that regardless of the scoreline, whether it's a 1-goal lead or a 2-goal lead or a 3-goal lead, the game is ours.
They've lacked a little bit of control in those closing stages of games. I was with them in Leverkusen, where they got themselves in a brilliant position and then didn't go on to win it. You go back to Saturday's game. Actually, I thought it was a terrific football match on Saturday. Newcastle started that game brilliantly, and they still could have won that game in the second half. They had some good counter-attacking opportunities when Chelsea were piling on the pressure at 2-2. So I think you can overhype the problems that Newcastle have had over the course of the season. I think they've done a pretty good job, bearing in mind the stuff they've had to deal with.
We're still not halfway through the season. So again, you judge at the end of a season. I do feel for Eddie, because of all the expectations of the owners coming in, the money they're worth, the fact that they're not able to spend up until now, and maybe you'd know better than me whether next season they'll be able to do that a little bit more with the new rules coming in. But
well, they're not in a great position.
Money has been spent
in terms of everybody has got to. The new rules suggest that you can only spend a certain percentage of your turnover on players' wages and transfer fees, right? Which is great because all of the other stuff that they need to do to build the club up, and David Hodgkinson, who's the new CEO, wants it to be one of the biggest clubs in the world.
What ridiculous comment, by the way.
In order to do that,
the biggest club in the world by 2030. Absolutely ridiculous comment.
In order to do that, they've got to start putting other things in place, obviously, and they could be able to spend that money on infrastructure. But in terms of on the playing staff and in trying to get more people through the door in terms of resources for Eddie, that is going to take time. Look, and I think actually selling a player like Isak helps because that goes straight onto your bottom line in PSR, and the others, the acquisitions that you've made, actually you can put over a certain period of time. So that will help too. But I think he goes on these brilliant runs where he manages to get into great form, and then they have these little dips where people get a little bit sceptical. I think he seems to come under pressure so much quicker than most other managers because he's an English manager and everyone.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I actually think that sometimes you don't realise how good a job he has done when you think he walked in there and they were going to get relegated.
No, I think he's done a great job.
In the Champions League twice and they've won a major trophy.
I mean, he should be. From what sections? What sections? Where
I just think there's always that little undercurrent of people wanting to criticise him. Even little Ollie out the back, giving it a bit of the large.
Little Ollie.
I mean, honestly, the suggestion is that actually they didn't do their business properly in the summer. Well, that's not really Eddie's fault. You should have a sporting director that they can rely on. They had Paul Mitchell in there, messed up. They had Dan Ashworth in there, didn't work out for whatever reason. He wanted to go to Manchester United. You need to get someone who can organise all of that and make that happen so that he doesn't have to get involved.
No, absolutely. You talk about where they are in the Champions League table, and I think that's pretty decent from where they are. You talk about their home form, that's very decent. The away form is a problem. I mean, that St James's Park, that crowd, it's another 10 points on top. But then the mentality, you need to have that same mentality the top players have it away from home as much as they do at home, and don't need the fans to be right behind. Well, I know what it's like playing at home. You're more nervous playing at home than you are away, but actually you probably play better because of it. You've got to be absolutely bang on it.
We shall see what happens when they go away from home. On Boxing Day, they go to Old Trafford to take on Manchester United. I'll be there with the former Manchester United captain and former Newcastle manager, Steve Bruce, and Hugh Wozencroft from 7 o'clock on Boxing Day. Next, we'll be looking at the battle of the England number 10s, which takes place this weekend. And no, Jude Bellingham is not involved.
For the Gunners, as the former Chelsea stopper saved Lacroix's penalty to clinch a semi-final tie against his old club and disrupt Palace's run of Cup silverware. However, after narrow wins over Wolves and Everton and that defeat to Villa, Gabby's questioning whether Arsenal have the required ruthlessness to stay ahead of City.
Even in the Premier League, Manchester City scored 10 more goals than Arsenal. They need to be a bit more prolific, don't they? Gabriel Jesus, I know it's his first start, but I thought last night again reminds me of his time at Arsenal. It's not really clinical, is he?
The counter-argument came from Ali McCoist.
We're top in the league. We've lost 2 games, I think it is. One of them was to a ridiculous free kick from Szoboszlai, flew into the top corner, and the other one was to a 95th minute goal at Villa Park. So you could look at it that way. You've only lost 2 games.
Elsewhere, it goes from terrible to even worse for Ben Stokes' booze ballers, who've now lost Jofra Archer for the rest of the Ashes with a side strain. Jacob Bethel, meanwhile, has been picked at the expense of Ollie Pope at number 3. And Captain Stokes has thrown his full support to Ben Duckett after a video widely shared on social media appears to show the opener drunk during a trip to beach resort Noosa after the second Ashes test.
It's never a nice place to be in when the media world, but also the social media world, is just piling on top of you. So I will always try my best job to do that, to look after every single person in this group, from players to management, support staff, whatever it may be.
In the next half an hour, driving home to Manchester today.
What are you going to listen to?
Do you know what? It's a good question, isn't it? I'm going to listen to H&J. I will play some Christmas songs on the way back. I do love a Christmas song.
You're not able to watch H&J. Obviously, the chairs are already in preparation for the 17 people.
I know
who are going to be coming in.
Yes, there's quite a contingent outside that are ready to come into the studio.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting
Good luck
to see what happens.
to H&J.
Yes, producer Georgia is getting a little bit irate about how she was going to put the whole configuration of the studio together, and then Beltrao just came in and just decided to just bowling ball the whole seating plan out the window. The fourth and final episode of the brand new talkSPORT Daily podcast series is available now as Angelina Kelly, Alex Crook, Roy Jennings and Adrian Durham and Gabby Bonahor bring you the 12 hot takes of Christmas. In today's episode, they delve into whether Spurs fans are too entitled, if Cole Palmer could miss out on a World Cup spot, and the latest episode is available to download on all talkSPORT platforms, all podcast platforms, and the talkSPORT app, which is quite easy to negotiate. Pretty easy, just download it. You can flip between the 2 stations. You'll find all the information there. You can also watch that H&J show from 1 o'clock on the talkSPORT app or on the connected television app, which you can now watch on any TV you possibly want. Could Cole Palmer miss out next summer? That could be a big discussion point, I suppose, with Chelsea about to take on Aston Villa. And I suppose the biggest competition he has is from the likes of Bellingham, but also Morgan Rogers as well. Phil Foden has done well in his absence for England. Obviously, it does feel as if there is quite a lot of number 10s, and he's not going to take 5 of them, is he? I mean, he's already said that.
Yeah. I think a fit and firing Cole Palmer, for me, he has to find a way to put him in the side, starting 11, let alone be in the squad. But he's been injured for a long time. Morgan Rogers is absolutely on fire. Jude Bellingham's, again, bossing it, although he was man of the match at the weekend and scored. But I think in the previous few weeks, he's been a little bit struggling with the way that Real Madrid are sorting things out at the moment there. But for me, Jude Bellingham has to be in the side as well. I think this is a big game for Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer has a big second half of the season coming up because I talk about how much he's almost carried Chelsea for, I'd say, a year and a half. And then the others kind of caught up, but he's still their talisman. For him to be out for so long and for the reasons I've just given, he needs to absolutely hit the ground running now. Now, he scored against Everton, but he was quite quiet, but that's fine. He's still being managed in that. But I think he needs to almost just kind of put Morgan Rogers in his place a little bit and say, I'm the star on this pitch, and I'm going to be one of the main men for England come the World Cup.
Well, do you have to accept that actually someone is going to miss out? Because Thomas Tuchel has already said this is the formation, this is the philosophy that we're going to go with. They've practiced with it. He wants people that have been around the system over the course of the last 6 months. Cole Palmer has not been around it. No. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to force himself in, hasn't he? Despite his talent, Absolutely. He's great. But talented players are going to miss out.
Yeah.
Because it's only a 26-man squad.
A lot of talented players are going to miss out. I mean, it would seem crazy for Cole Palmer to not be in the England squad, let alone the starting 11. But that's why I do think, because everyone else is playing so well at the moment, he's got to get back to the form and reasonably quickly of where he's been since he moved to Chelsea. I'm always putting my hands in front of my face here in terms of, I cannot believe he won't travel. He's that good. He's that talented.
Someone who is that talented, someone who is that good is not going to go.
So too Jude Bellingham, so too Morgan Rogers, so too Phil Foden.
Trent Alexander-Arnold might not go.
Trent, I mean, that's a different thing. I mean, he's got to get regularly into the Real Madrid side. And Cole Palmer will be a regular in the Chelsea side. But if he is to help take Chelsea to third, maybe in the Premier League, and maybe a quarter-final or semi-final in the Champions League, win the Carabao Cup and maybe even the FA Cup, he has to travel. But I'm with you. I'm a massive Cole Palmer fan. You don't need to preach to me. I'm converted. But with everyone else playing so well, he's got a big second half of the season.
I don't know if it's a great headache to have, by the way. I'm not sure it is a great headache to have. I think it's quite a hard decision you have to make. If you're Thomas Tuchel, like everyone says, oh, it's great, he's got all these brilliant players in this certain area. I'm not sure that it is. I think it actually makes it very difficult for you. We spoke to Enzo Maresca about this in his pre-match press conference. He was asked whether or not the game will come down at the weekend to the performance of those two number 10s, Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers.
No, they are two fantastic players. For sure, they're going to be important during the game. But I think both players, they need the other 10 around them to support them and to help them to do the right things. So it's for sure it's about Morgan, it's about Cole, but it's about the team.
He's right, it is about the team, and the team haven't really been performing at their very best in recent weeks. They weren't in tip-top shape against Everton. They obviously had to come from 2-0 down against Newcastle United. What are your disappointments with the way they've been performing in the last couple of weeks?
No, I'm not disappointed in terms of what...
Atalanta?
Yeah, and obviously it sounds like maybe the hierarchy were disappointed with the Atalanta game as well, which is where the comments came out from. Look, I think Enzo Maresca needs to realise, he needs to know his place. He's the head coach of Chelsea Football Club, and if he gets in a fight with the owners, then there's only going to be one winner. But this is a really talented coach who I think is only going to get better. And I think he realises how close Chelsea Football Club are to really going for the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yes, 2 wins in 7. And one of those was against Cardiff, where they weren't very good in the first half and had to readjust in the second.
But that's my issue. He's been given the youngest average starting 11, or he's playing the youngest average starting 11 with the squad that he's got in Premier League history.
But those 2 wins,
he wants the senior players.
Scott.
That's what you get with inexperienced, young, and quite often a lot of them mainly foreign players.
This is Arsenal. This is Leeds. This is Bournemouth. This is Atalanta. This is Everton. This is Cardiff. This is Newcastle. This is not Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, is it?
But if you look to see what talented players can do, the winners, and again, I go back to the Manchester United side that I played against, the Beckham, the Keane, the Scholes, the Giggs, they were up for it whoever they played against. And the top players are able to do it home and away. We're talking about Newcastle, the home and away form. We're talking about Chelsea, the inconsistency of going to Leeds and losing at home to Sunderland. The real Premier League winners are able to find a way to win, and they haven't got that experience to do that. And that's where I think it's born a little bit of frustration of, yes, he's probably been questioned just about his substitutions at Atalanta, but it's almost like, well, give me the players that I want, and I'll give you what you and the fans want. The question is, the fans want it now, and rightly so, because that's what happened under Abramovich. Do the hierarchy want it now? What is the plan?
Well, Aston Villa found themselves in a bit of a situation where they didn't have the greatest of squads, but they've won each of their last 10 matches in all competitions and could equal their club record of 11 consecutive victories set in both September 1897 and March 1914 if they managed to win at the weekend. And do you know what? I think they deserve a lot of credit for doing that because they haven't always played at their best. And the difference between them and Chelsea is that when Chelsea aren't playing at the best, they end up dropping points. When Aston Villa aren't playing at their best, they find a way to win.
Yeah, at this moment in time, 2 big games for Villa coming up. Chelsea away, Arsenal away. And we'll know a lot more. If they win both of those, then maybe we need to tweak our thoughts. And it's not just Villa fans talking about perhaps title contenders. I still feel they haven't got the squad deep enough to really stay there with Arsenal and City come the end of the season. And if they finish in the top 4 and hopefully for their sake, not Forest's sake, win the Europa League, then I think that'd be seen as a brilliant season for Emery. And when you think about how they started the season, not only were they not scoring goals, but then obviously not winning the games. They've turned it around. But this is, you can't keep this up. You can't have 10 wins out of 10 and make it 15 out of 15 and 20 out of 20 and having the goals come from 25 yards out on a regular basis. I go back to, I counteract that argument a little bit. I played with a young Frank Lampard who used to practice with the shots 25 yards out all the time. So there was no luck that he was scoring those type of goals. And clearly they're practicing for it. But you can't plan that you're going to be doing that and winning games because of it all the time. Moments of brilliance from a Morgan Rogers like we saw at the weekend.
Yeah, it was really impressive. And we'll find out whether or not he's just as impressive at the weekend. Remember, Manchester United Newcastle is the Boxing Day game Friday. Then the Saturday game, Chelsea and Aston Villa is on. Well, you're going for that one, aren't you, for Game Day Live? Are you doing that 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon?
What one?
Chelsea, Aston Villa. Are you going to that one?
No.
You're not going to that one? I thought you said you were going on that
Chelsea,
one.
Aston Villa. When is it?
It's a Saturday. You're getting lost all your days, aren't you?
I'm at Millwall on Boxing Day.
Millwall on Boxing Day.
Millwall again on the 29th,
Right.
and then Chelsea on the 30th.
On the 30th, that's when you're going, okay. Nottingham Forest against Manchester City is also live on talkSPORT 12:30 on Saturday the 27th. You are listening to Matterface and Minto on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Yes, talkSPORT is already looking forward to 2026, and an exciting year. We're giving you the chance to win a massive £26,000. That's 26k in 2026, and the way to enter is for your chance to win. Just text the word win to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. You can call 0343423 9761. Lines close at 12 p.m. on Friday the 9th of January, and you'll need to answer your phone if it rings at that time. UK residents only, 18 plus. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's are available at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text win to 83338 now, and good luck to you. You know what we haven't spoken about? Your old club, West Ham United.
Do we have to?
I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about them. And also, I look at all of the other clubs that are doing the rounds and that are down there at the bottom of the table. Nottingham Forest, you can see what Sean Dyche is trying to do. Daniel Farke, there's a bit of fight about that Leeds team. I do worry a little bit about Bournemouth and what's going to happen to them, because they seem to be dropping like a stone. But they've got a game against Fulham West Ham at the weekend. It feels like that's got to be a must-win, really, bearing in mind they find themselves already 5 points behind the 8 ball and with a terrible goal difference.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it earlier. The next 4 games for West Ham: Fulham at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Nottingham Forest at home. And that could well define whether they can sort of pick up and then get that kind of that psychological boost where they can then carry on and win games, or even pick up points where you're not expecting them to.
And if you're being optimistic, that is the opportunity that they've got. But if you're being a little bit pessimistic, they could be the first team to lose to Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Ooh, that's harsh.
That could happen.
Well, it could. As, with Wolves being at home as well. And if that does happen and those next 4 games don't go well, I mean, I touched on it earlier about, being part of the squad that went down in 2003 with, Di Canio and Defoe, Joey Cole, Mickey Carrick, Trev Sinclair, David James. They were saying that squad is too good to go down. Well, this squad is nowhere near, that particular squad. And it doesn't have to be, because we've got 42 points then. But my point is, we got to about January before we won our first home game. And you're thinking, there's always another game, there's always another game. Before you know it, you're sleepwalking into, you can't get out of the treacle that you're in. And they're in it at the moment. These next 4 games for West Ham United Football Club are absolutely crucial.
I also think that I'm a little bit concerned about the way they do the recruitment there and the way the club is sort of organised, because it feels like everybody else is using all of the best resources to accumulate data on all of their transfer targets, whereas the latest rumour is that they're going to go for Adama Traore, a player that Nuno is once again linked with. And he does seem sort of transfixed with former players that he's used before. You shouldn't be in a situation where a club like West Ham United, who have sold us this dream that they're going to be challenging for Europe every year, are reliant on the whims of each manager that comes in.
No, and you can't. Well, exactly that. You can't do that. There needs to be the manager coming in needs to reflect the hierarchy. Needs to reflect the sporting director, the CEO, and then the style of football is similar. So whether the manager comes or goes or not, it's a similar type of thing. And it just feels, from David Moyes to Lopetegui to Graham Potter now to Nuno, it's almost a complete circle in terms of the style of football. But West Ham are in a really bad place right now. And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It feels like it's a complete scattergun approach. From Nuno's point of view, he's just got to do what he knows. And what he knows is, he knows Traore, he knows what he's capable of, and he believes he can get the best out of him. So I don't blame Nuno for doing that. But I think the January window is, we talk about the next 4 games, but the January window for West Ham.
The club should just be in a better place, Scott. I mean, I don't even really know who the technical director is now. I know Nobes is involved as the sporting director, and he's trying to sort of bridge the gap between the players, the management staff, and the hierarchy. But it just feels a little bit like there's too many cooks there. No one really knows who's in charge.
It would be heartbreaking.
They lost Carl McCauley, didn't they?
It's a wonderful club. And with incredibly passionate fans who deserve to be better than where. And it was only a few years ago they're winning a European trophy and fighting.
We were there
regularly. Yeah, in being in European places. So the drop is heartbreaking, really, and they've got to find a way. Nuno has to find a way. I think right now, give Nuno the power, but then come the summer, They've got to sort out.
They need to grow up as a football club because they look to me like they're still operating in the early
that comes from the very top.
Yeah, they've got to grow up as a football club. There needs to be a proper structure, a proper plan, a strategy to try and get this club moving forward. They've wasted an opportunity. They got into the Conference League. Yeah. They won the Conference League.
Sold Deck Rice for 100 mil.
Exactly. And then they haven't built upon that. And I think that's absolutely a dereliction of duty. The Borough fan, Ryan, says, you asked for sporting Grinches of 2025. Well, for me, it's Rob Edwards, but he's not getting a Christmas miracle. Ben in Ware says, the Christmas Grinch is Delphon Chancerai. He single-handedly ruined Sheffield Wednesday by not playing the players or staff. Good riddance. Agree with that, Ben. Andrew Brown says, Merry Christmas, Sam and Scott. My Christmas Grinch is the various board members, managers and players at my club, Weymouth FC, who have managed to plummet us from the National League, where we were playing Wrexham 4 years ago, to the bottom end of the Southern League after 2 relegations. Even Steve Claridge got the sack this week, and I'm fully expecting us to get stuffed like a turkey at Dorchester on Saturday. Shambles. It may not mean a lot to you Premier League fans, but us non-league fans are just as passionate about our clubs.
Yeah.
From Andy B in Weymouth.
Absolutely.
Andy, I love that fella. Nuno Espirito Santo is my sporting Grinch, says one texter. Threw his toys out the pram and ruined his chances of building something special at Forest. And
Max Scott.
Yeah, Max was giving us a little bit of a lecture about that earlier on today. Charlie, the Everton fan, it's a blue Christmas without you. And Scott says, this year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to Calvert-Lewin.
Very good.
And why not? Thank you very much for your company on Christmas Eve.
Mate,
enjoy your Christmas
pleasure.
Eve.
You too.
I know you've got a special one tonight. I'll be back with you on Boxing Day to bring you Manchester United against Newcastle United. H&J and their audience of fantastic listeners is coming up next.